Chapter 1000, Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging the Azure Phoenix Immortal. Chapter 1000, Chapter 357, Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging the Azure Phoenix Immortal. Lu Changxing examined the puppet version of himself and couldn't help but praise aloud. He thought to himself, indeed, a product of the system must be top grade. Unless the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox took action, it would be very hard to spot any flaws with just such an inspection. But unless it was someone close, or if the two had fought before, even in a duel, it would be difficult to distinguish the true from the false for a while. This is the true path of puppetry. Lu Changxing looked at the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox before him and couldn't hold back his sigh. When compared to this third-order puppet, the second-rank puppets he had created before were nothing but crap. With this Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, in future battles, as long as the fox puppet could charm the opponent through illusion and create a breach in their mental spirit, he would be able to punch them out with a single blow. However, I still need to be careful when facing enemies, because once this kind of puppet is damaged, there's no way to repair it. Lu Changxing immediately realized a problem. As powerful as these puppets were, they were still consumables that required maintenance. Although the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox possessed some self-repair capabilities, if it sustained significant damage, it naturally wouldn't be able to fix itself and would require a puppet master's intervention. And even though he was a second-tier top-level puppet master, he didn't have the ability to repair such a puppet. If I consider maintenance and repairs, it suddenly seems a bit less appealing. Lu Changxing looked at the puppet before him and sighed. After pondering for a moment, he took a jade slip from his storage bag and imprinted part of its content with his divine sense. Then he handed it to Su Rongrong and said, "Try to craft a puppet according to the blueprint and let me see." Although the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox was a combat puppet, skilled in illusion, charm, and transformation techniques, Su Rongrong had been a puppet master in her previous life and was quite capable of learning puppet-related skills. So as long as Lu Changxing trained her slowly, after some time, this Thousand Faces Puppet Fox should have no problem crafting second-rank puppets. Moreover, although the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox needed to embed spirit stones to consume mana, it had a core puppet crystal within. This puppet crystal could absorb nature's spiritual energy on its own and store mana. So if this puppet was used for menial labor, the maintenance costs would be almost nil. Yes, master. Su Rongrong, though behaving like a real person, was ultimately a puppet. Lacking genuine human emotion, she could only obey Lu Changxing's commands without true feelings. Of course, if Lu Changxing continually trained and taught her, she might become somewhat more human-like. After studying the puppet blueprints given by Lu Changxing, Su Rongrong began to attempt forging a puppet with the materials provided. A puppet of this caliber could already be called a Dao soldier. Lu Changxing watched Su Rongrong and mused to himself. He couldn't help but look forward to the system drawing a puppet-related legacy technique. The puppet skills provided by the system were comprehensive, but none were rare or profound. Just like the many talismans he used, they came from the 99 mystical talisman scripture, and not from a talisman path inheritance. Wait, isn't there already an extant third-order puppet right before my eyes? If I can understand its principles and skills, perhaps I could advance to be a third-order puppet master. Lu Changxing looked at the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox before him and had a thought. Such a puppet held great value for research to a puppet master. I, Lu Changxing, have come this far thanks to my own hard work. Today, I shall use my exceptional wisdom, supreme comprehension, and relentless effort to advance to be a third-order puppet master. Lu Changxing, looking at the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, was emotionally stirred and spoke with inspiration. He then began to train the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, studying its underlying principles and craftsmanship, hoping to gain some insights from it in order to advance to a third-order puppet master. Half a month later. Damn it, system, show some spirit and let me see what you're made of. Lu Changxing cursed as he examined the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox. Despite being a second-tier top-level puppet master, after studying for so long, he still completely failed to understand the principles of this third-order puppet. Especially the soul injection aspect, which left him utterly baffled, without a single lead. However, it was since he dared not dismantle the puppet for deeper research, merely skimming the surface. But it must be said, the Thousand Faces puppet fox was truly lifelike. Even if he wanted to dismantle it, Lu Changxing felt rather at a loss on where to begin. Immediately after, Lu Changxing gave up on researching the humanoid figure and went out with his daughter Lu Wangshu to have fun, visiting Xianxia in the Luoyun mountain range. Golden Dragon Ridge, Jin family. Lu Qingshan, disciple of Tianyuan true immortal from Yu country's Jinyang sect, nascent soul seed of Jinyang sect, son of Lu Changxing from Bihu Lake Mountain, grandson of Lu Yuanding from Qingzhou Mountain. The patriarch of Jin family looked at the message in his hand, shocked to the core. The Jin family's members had perished in the Purple Shadow secret realm years ago, so they had been monitoring this information closely. They wanted to know if there had been any special circumstances in the Purple Shadow secret realm back then, to see if other forces were targeting their family. Unexpectedly, they stumbled upon such news. Lu Changxing of Bihu Lake Mountain, the patriarch of Jin family, had a grave expression. Although in recent years Bihu Lake Mountain had kept a low profile without much activity, even the White Tiger Mountain that they took over was left semi-neglected, with only the mining operations being managed and nearly all other matters being nearly abandoned. Nevertheless, they kept a close watch on the situation of the Lu family at all times. But they had never imagined that Lu Changxing had hidden his depths so well. That he had such an astonishingly gifted son in Yu country's Jinyang sect. If in a few decades or a century the son grew up, their family would be utterly insignificant in comparison. Chapter 1001, Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging the Azure Phoenix Immortal. Chapter 1001, Chapter 357, Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging the Azure Phoenix Immortal. No, we must find a way to take back White Tiger Mountain, the patriarch of Jin family said with a grave expression, calculating in his heart. White Tiger Mountain was adjacent to Golden Dragon Ridge. If this Lu Qingshan became a nascent soul immortal in the future. Not to mention a nascent soul immortal, even as a false core immortal, his Jin family would be restless. Immediately, the patriarch of the Jin family reported the news, hoping that the family would continue to elevate the significance of Bai Lake Mountain. And also find a way to take back White Tiger Mountain. In his view, White Tiger Mountain could be in the hands of other families, but it absolutely couldn't be in the hands of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Luoyun Mountain Range. Is the secret realm about to end? Lu Changxing said with a smile on his face upon hearing Xiaoxia's words. Yes, based on the current progress, if nothing unexpected happens, the secret realm will end in as short as half a year, or as long as 2 or 3 years, Xiaoxia replied, holding her daughter in her arms, her cold and noble visage filled with a gentle hue as she spoke softly. Xiu, once the secret realm is over, there should be quite a few rewards from Qingyun sect, right? Lu Changxing asked. He remembered that Xiaoxia had been in this secret realm for almost 10 years. I and my fellow sister have both made no small gains in the secret realm. Once it ends, the sect will give rewards based on the situation, Xiaoxia said as such. Mother, what does it look like inside the secret realm? Lu Wangshu asked, frowning her delicate nose with curiosity upon thinking of her mother being in the secret realm for so long. If the sect decides to open the secret realm to the outside after it ends, Mother will take you to see it, Xiaoxia said, affectionately stroking her daughter's hair. The opening of the secret realm, could it be similar to the Purple Shadow secret realm? Lu Changxing raised his brow and inquired. Different from the Purple Shadow secret realm, I cannot disclose the specifics for now, Xiaoxia replied. However, if this secret realm opens, Changxing and Wangshu, if you can enter, there will be benefits. Hearing this, Lu Changxing did not ask further. He knew that such matters would definitely not be disclosed by Qingyun sect. The fact that Xiaoxia was even able to say this much was already the limit. Then the family of 3 spent time sightseeing in the surrounding area. Because Xiaoxia was preoccupied with affairs and couldn't stay away for too long. After half a month of sightseeing, they had to return to the secret realm. Facing this situation, Lu Changxing naturally did not make it difficult for her. After parting ways, he continued to take his daughter sightseeing in other places, even reaching the territory of the Wuxia sect. However, being part of the Jianghu country cultivation realm, there was not much difference between the territories of Luoxia sect and Qinyan sect. During their travels, Lu Changxing heard some startling news. A nascent soul immortal named White Peak had gone to Azure Phoenix Immortal City to issue a challenge, confronting the Azure Phoenix Immortal. Lu Changxing had not heard of this White Peak Immortal before. Only after making inquiries did he learn that White Peak Immortal had been an independent cultivator in Jianghu country with a rather high reputation 100 years ago. Later, for some unknown reason, he left the cultivation world of Jianghu country. Why would this White Peak Immortal dare challenge Azure Phoenix Immortal? Is it because of the old rumors that Azure Phoenix Immortal was severely injured? Lu Changxing was puzzled. It was known that as Jianghu Kingdom's #1 independent cultivator, the combat power of Azure Phoenix Immortal was unquestionable. Why would White Peak Immortal dare to challenge Azure Phoenix Immortal in Azure Phoenix Immortal City? But after making inquiries, all Lu Changxing found out was that White Peak Immortal had enmity with Azure Phoenix Immortal. Leaving the cultivation world of Jianghu country back then had something to do with Azure Phoenix Immortal. Specific details about the grudge, the level of combat power, and why he challenged Azure Phoenix Immortal were not available. Alas, the news in such small places is still not well informed. If I were in Jiuxiao Immortal City, I could easily buy information from Heaven Knowledge Tower. Lu Changxing shook his head, no longer wasting time on gathering news. He planned to have Lu Miaoyun or Zhao Qingxing look into this matter for him after he returned home. Soon, after a good amount of sightseeing, he took Lu Wangshu back to Bai Lake Mountain. 4 months later, Lu Changxing and his daughter returned to Bai Lake Mountain. The father and daughter had been out sightseeing for nearly half a year. However, during this trip, Lu Changxing deeply realized that his dilapidated spirit boat was not up to speed. He was quite envious of the elder ancestor of the Su family's 9-headed wind thunder steed-driven carriage. Not only was it impressive, but its speed was also several times that of his spirit boat. Thinking about when the system would finally get its act together and give him some magical treasures for his spirit boat. Going out on my own like this, I could save quite a bit of time on the journey. Upon returning to Baiyun Peak, Lu Changxing instructed Lu Wangshu to diligently cultivate in the coming days, then asked Lu Miaoyun if anything had happened at home during this time. Lu Miaoyun indicated that nothing of note had occurred at home. However, not long ago, a foundation establishment cultivator had expressed a desire to establish a family force and was interested in purchasing White Tiger Mountain, inquiring if the Lu family was willing to sell. Purchasing White Tiger Mountain? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow upon hearing this. If one were to establish a family force, White Tiger Mountain was hardly a desirable location. It wasn't that the spirit land was inadequate, but being adjacent to Golden Dragon Ridge, any family wishing to develop peacefully would have no choice but to kowtow to Golden Dragon Ridge. No need to concern ourselves with such matters. Our family is gaining more and more foundation establishment members. Once Pingon makes his foundation establishment breakthrough, I shall have Yuner make arrangements to relocate our family workshop to White Tiger Mountain. Lu Changxing said so. Yes, I've discussed this matter with Yuner. Lu Miaoyun was aware of this plan and merely mentioned this incident to Lu Changxing, indicating that the foundation establishment cultivator might have been sent by the Jin family, as spirit land prices are incredibly expensive. The foundation establishment cultivator previously belonged to a minor Qi refinement family. How could he possibly afford to purchase White Tiger Mountain? It's not outside the realm of possibility. After all, the Jin family would definitely not be pleased to see White Tiger Mountain remain in our hands. Lu Changxing said with a chuckle. He was aware of the Jin family's ill intentions towards his own. He also knew that the Jin family was waiting for the right moment, gathering strength. Once they had amassed sufficient power, they might take action against his family. But he, too, was waiting. When the time was nearly right, he would make Golden Dragon Ridge bear the name Lu. After all, given his family's circumstances, if they did not seize more, his children would have to travel far away to establish branch families in the future. By the way, Yuner, are you aware of what's happened in Azure Phoenix Immortal City? Lu Changxing inquired. Is husband referring to the challenge issued by White Peak Immortal against Azure Phoenix Immortal? Lu Miaoyun responded. Previously, Lu Changxing had instructed her to keep an eye on this news. Therefore, she had been consistently attentive to various information within the cultivation world. By Lake Mountain had Zhao Qingxing and Red Leaf Valley Market as two sources of information and maintained good relations with many families, making their news network quite responsive. Exactly, has there been a result to the matter? Lu Changxing asked. Yes, not long ago, Qingxing sent a letter mentioning the affair, stating that Azure Phoenix Immortal accepted the challenge, defeating White Peak Immortal in 3 moves. Lu Miaoyun produced a jade slip and spoke. 3 moves. Lu Changxing was taken aback. He had originally thought very highly of White Peak Immortal when he heard about the challenge to Azure Phoenix Immortal. To lose in 3 moves. Where did this confidence come from to challenge someone at their doorstep? According to Qingxing, the fight was a form of probing, with some power trying to gauge the true strength of Azure Phoenix Immortal and whether he was seriously injured. Lu Miaoyun's voice was soft as she explained. Probing? Lu Changsheng's brow furrowed, deep in thought. The force daring to probe Azure Phoenix Immortal must be no small entity. Yes, but Qingxing doesn't know the specifics. We've sent someone to Azure Phoenix Immortal City to understand the situation better, but there has been no news yet. Lu Miaoyun continued. Now that Bai Lake Mountain was considered a power in its own right, it always stayed informed about major events in the Jianghu country cultivation realm. Okay. Lu Changxing nodded, his mind drifting to the recent incident with the beast-taming Su family. It felt as though the cultivation world was outwardly calm but teeming with undercurrents. Even top-tier forces like the beast-taming Su family and Azure Phoenix Immortal City constantly faced troubles. Unless one is truly invincible, how could there be no troubles? Lu Changxing shook his head, sighing. Even the Jianghu country cultivation realm's hegemon, Heavenly Sword Sect, had to face invasions from other cultivation realms. The Azure Phoenix Immortal City, dominated by Azure Phoenix Immortal, was a target many coveted. Moreover, considering the recent beast-taming Su family incident, the Su family suspected that the 4 great immortal sects were targeting them. Perhaps, the 4 great immortal sects also had some actions to suppress Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Cultivate. Lu Changxing decided not to worry about these matters. After spending some time tenderly with his wife, Lu Miaoyun, he went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven and continued to cultivate his yin-yang creation scripture. Chapter 1002, Minor Qing Spiritual Body, Starlight Plate. Chapter 1002, Chapter 358, Minor Qing Spiritual Body, Starlight Plate. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Inside Changxing Hall. In the simple and elegant cave mansion, filled with a subtle and refined fragrance. Ling Zixiao lay on the bed, practicing the sun-moon samsara technique with Lu Changxing. Her body was graceful and full, and except for a pair of gossamer white stockings on her feet, she was naked, irresistibly enticing. As the sun-moon samsara technique circulated, the cave mansion seemed to have a sun and moon circling, casting a gentle glow upon their skins, reflecting off each other, making the scene stunningly beautiful, holy and pure. Time passed bit by bit, and as the cultivation technique operated and their positions changed, Ling Zixiao found herself unwittingly by the legs of Lu Miaoge. This fairy, whose clear beauty was like that of water, now lay limp and still as water, glancing shyly at Ling Zixiao who was cultivating with Lu Changxing. Were it not for the fact that Lu Changxing had switched to practicing the yin-yang creation classic, requiring the two of them to help nurture the yin-yang energies, she would rarely accompany Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao in dual cultivation. It wasn't for any other reason. Alone with Ling Zixiao, she felt somewhat inhibited and uncomfortable. Or to put it another way, except for her sister Lu Miaohuan, she felt uncomfortable and shy with all her other sisters at home. However, with more than 2 years of cultivation, she gradually became more comfortable with Ling Zixiao. At this moment, Lu Miaoge's dewy, dreamy eyes caused a stir in Ling Zixiao's heart as she circulated the sun-moon samsara technique. She bowed her head, watching the pair of snow-white, delicate feet encased in thin stockings before her. Her pearly, round feet lay lazily, the arches of her feet the epitome of elegance and softness. Her toes, slender and shapely, were vaguely visible through the gossamer stockings, full of temptation. Possessed by some devilish impulse, she opened her red lips and, through the stockings, took her toes into her mouth. The feet were Lu Maiage's sensitive spot, and she let out a soft cry, attempting to retract them. But she was already weak all over from practicing the Tai life water technique with Lu Changsheng not long ago. Now, with Ling Zixiao teasing her toes, she could not muster the energy. Moreover, she was worried about affecting Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao's cultivation and did not dare to struggle too hard. She could only bury her head in the sand, pretending not to know. In this situation, Ling Zixiao took liberties further, reaching out to hold Lu Maiage's other white-stockinged slender foot. Her long fingers, like fine onions, caressed the soles and tops of her feet, relishing the smooth and delicate sensation, turning the ethereal fairy shy and bashful, prompting a groan as she tried to draw back her little foot with a bit more force. But Ling Zixiao did not let go. The stockings made of spiritual silkworm thread felt marvelous in both touch and taste. Lu Maiage's fragrance, like that of a snow lotus from the heavenly mountains, was also refreshing to the spirit, tempting Ling Zixiao to taste gently, rendering Lu Maiage's body taut and powerless. So everyone tastes different, huh? At this moment, Ling Zixiao's consciousness was hazy, submerged in the sun-moon samsara technique. She felt that Lu Maiage's taste was different from Bai Ling's, uniquely delightful. No wonder Lu Changsheng enjoyed playing with and savoring it so much. Lu Changsheng, at this time, was unaware of what Ling Zixiao was thinking and didn't care. All he felt was that the scene before him accelerated the operation of his cultivation technique, the sun and the moon above his head spinning violently, humming loudly as if about to merge into one. Boom! After a long time, the sun and moon merged, yin and yang converged. Afterward, Lu Changsheng lay quietly cuddling his two dear wives, thoroughly satisfied. With such wives, what more could a man ask? Having such wives to assist in the transformation of the yin-yang creation classic, even if it meant forming golden core or forming a baby, with every child exceptionally talented, possessing spiritual bodies and Taoist bodies, he would be willing. It was a pity Xiao Xia was in the Luoyun mountain range, otherwise, with her lunar aura to aid him, he felt the effects would be even better. Lingsui Cliff. It seems this demon tree seed is ultimately lacking. Unless I continuously nurture it with myriad spirits heaven dew, there might be hope for it to advance to a third-rank heaven and earth spiritual plant. Lu Changsheng looked at the purple tree before him and shook his head. Previously, he used 2 drops of myriad spirits heaven dew on the auspicious tree to help Chu Zhenjin break through to foundation establishment. Now, gathering new myriad spirits heaven dew, he thought of his son Lu Pingan, and Lu Chuanjin who had brought back seeds from the Purple Shadow secret realm. However, from experimentation, he could see that this purple tree was not a seed of a third-rank spirit plant. Unless he continuously nurtured it with myriad spirits heaven dew, there might be a chance for the purple tree to grow continuously and advance to a third-rank tree. But even with the myriad spirits bottle, he couldn't afford to waste it like that. My husband, although this tree is not a heaven and earth spiritual plant, and cannot be refined into a life-bound spiritual root, I see that this tree has the effect of turning turbid energy into spiritual energy. If planted on Lingsui Cliff, it could greatly benefit the spirit veins and spiritual energy. Next to him stood Lu Miaoyun, dressed in a light blue gown, fresh and pure in appearance, speaking about the purple tree. She practiced the heavenly longevity technique, and as a second-rank spiritual plant master, she roughly observed the characteristics and effects of this purple tree. It could absorb the turbid energy of the earth veins and exude strands of spiritual energy. Perhaps 1 or 2 trees would not have much effect, but if dozens could be planted, it would significantly influence the spiritual energy of Lingsui Cliff. Turning turbid energy into spiritual energy? Lu Changsheng's brows raised. He had noticed that the purple tree could diffuse strands of spiritual energy, similar to the ornamental spiritual plant that Zhao Qingqing had brought before. But he hadn't realized it had this effect. He immediately used the origin spirit pupillary art to observe the effect on the earth veins before him. Indeed, as Lu Miaoyun had said, the purple tree absorbed the turbid energy beneath the earth veins as nourishment, then turned it into spiritual energy. Interesting, but it would be difficult to influence the earth veins and upgrade the spirit veins with just a few trees. Too difficult. Lu Changxing shook his head. He had only 4 seeds in his hands. Even if all were planted, they would not have much impact on the spirit veins. It's too bad the Purple Shadow secret realm only opens every 30 years, and only energy-refining cultivators may enter. Otherwise, we could see the tree demons Pingan and Xuanzhen talked about, and there might be gains to be had. Chapter 1003, Minor Qing's Spiritual Body, Starlight Plate. Chapter 1003, Chapter 358, Minor Qing's Spiritual Body, Starlight Plate. Lu Changxing murmured to himself. He planned to wait until the Purple Shadow secret realm opened again, to carefully strategize how to explore this mysterious realm. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, more than a year had passed. In this past year, Lu Changxing had only added 2 children to his family. Li Xingrua and Li Xingyu, both sisters, had successfully conceived his children. The child in Zhao Qingqing's womb was also born. It was a boy. But this child's talent was very ordinary, possessing only a 5th-grade spiritual root. Faced with this situation, Lu Changxing sighed slightly. But he also understood that with both parents being foundation establishment cultivators and possessing a spiritual body, the likelihood of their child's talent, having a spiritual body, was only relatively higher compared to other children. It didn't mean that the child would definitely have exceptional talent. Moreover, speaking of which, a 5th-grade spiritual root was already quite decent. It was just that to the current Lu Changxing, only children with top-grade spiritual roots could slightly move his heart. I wonder when I can get another soul fusion resurrection elixir. Lu Changxing was somewhat nostalgic for the effect of the soul fusion resurrection elixir at this moment. When Ling Zixiao gave birth to Lu Lingxiao and Lu Lingyi, although luck played a large part, it also made Lu Changxing realize the effects of the soul fusion resurrection elixir. Thinking that if he could get more of these heaven and earth spiritual materials for preparation, he and his wife Lu Miaoga would have another child. Husband, Xingrua is about to give birth. At this time, Lu Miaoyun came to report a piece of news to Lu Changxing that Li Xingruo's child was about to be born. Good. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing immediately went with Lu Miaoyun to visit. As soon as they arrived outside the delivery room, a system prompt suddenly echoed in Lu Changxing's mind, accompanied by a mysterious tremor. Congratulations, host, on siring 6 spiritual body offspring. You have earned 1 lottery chance. Spiritual body? Lu Changxing was startled upon hearing this, followed by a burst of joy in his heart. He had not expected Li Xingruo's child to actually possess a spiritual body. However, this child's spiritual body seems a bit ordinary. Lu Changxing sensed the vibrations from the spiritual body, frowning slightly. But he didn't think too much of it and quickly joined Lu Miaoyun in the delivery room to visit Li Xingrua and the newborn child. The child was a girl. Her appearance was exquisite, like a porcelain doll. Then, Lu Changxing named the child Lu Qingli. After seeing the child, Lu Changxing told Li Xingrua to rest well, and also told Li Xingyu to rest well. Because Li Xingyu was only 2 months behind Li Xingrua in her pregnancy, now also bearing a large belly. System. Lu Changxing went to the Lu family courtyard, thinking silently. The system panel appeared. Name, Lu Changxing. Status, Lord of Bai Lake Mountain. Cultivation level, 8th layer of foundation building. Lifespan, 59 of 288. Spiritual root, 1st grade spiritual root. Constitution, Minor Qing spiritual body, low grade spirit body. Gingjin body. Constitution, medium grade spirit body. Blood talisman spiritual body, superior spirit body, flawless heavenly fragrance body, top-level spiritual body, dragon roar physique, top-level spiritual body, cultivation technique, Yin Yang creation scripture, beginner, 100 refinements treasure body art, 8th level, 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture, 2nd level, immortal beauty technique, Tai Xingshui Ju, 2nd level, spell, sword shadow dividing light technique, 7 luminaries sword chi, soul scattering needle, items, Lu family genealogy, myriad spirits bottle, 1,000 faces puppet fox, evil X banisher elixir, soul fusion resurrection elixir, endless guileful head, book of malevolent curses and fates, life substituting talisman, coagulation crystal elixir, magical treasures, fate-defying robe, 7 luminaries heart lamp, oceanic bead, skills, alchemy, 2nd rank, talisman making, 3rd rank, puppet, 2nd rank, spirit slaughterer, 2nd rank, wine brewing, 2nd rank, dragon seeking, 2nd rank, music mastery, 3rd rank, spiritual pets, Mount Summer tree king, 9 netherhound, peach blossom goo, bloodline effect, offspring spiritual root rate plus 30%. Progeny probability plus 30%, spiritual body inheritance rate plus 1%, family members, 605, minor Qing spiritual body. Lu Changxing noted that he had acquired a new minor Qing spiritual body among his constitution. He was familiar with this type of spiritual body. Naturally close to spiritual energy. For instance, with a 9th grade spiritual root and possessing the minor Qing spiritual body, the cultivation speed could rival that of a 6th grade spiritual root. And during the process of breakthroughs in cultivation, it could purge the impurities within the body. No wonder I don't feel any difference with this spiritual body. Lu Changxing thought to himself quietly. Ever since acquiring the flawless heavenly fragrance body, he had felt his entire body was transparent and all channels clear, the effects being similar to the minor Qing spiritual body. And now, not only did he possess the flawless heavenly fragrance body, but also the dragon roar physique and foundation establishment cultivation. This minor Qing spiritual bodhis effect naturally felt almost non-existent to him. But at the end of the day, it is still a spiritual body. Lu Changxing wasn't so disappointed to disdain the spiritual body. He checked his daughter through the family interface. Name, Lu Qingli, lifespan, 181st, talent, 5th grade spiritual root, minor Qing spiritual body, low grade spirit body, cultivation level, none, talent, music mastery, 23%, with a 5th grade spiritual root and a minor Qing spiritual body, her cultivation speed should be at the level of a high-quality spiritual root. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, feeling that this level of talent was already quite good. As long as she was willing to put in the effort, achieving foundation establishment wouldn't be an issue. The talent, however, left much to be desired. Having a talent in music mastery was one thing, but only 23% was quite pitiful. It must be noted that both he and the child's mother, Li Xingrua, had considerable talent in alchemy. Not only did this child have no talent in alchemy, but her music mastery was also lacking. TSK, one can only say heredity is just too unreliable. Lu Changxing shook his head and didn't pay much attention to this matter. After all, talent is talent, and interest is interest. In earlier years, he had planned the growth directions for many of his children. But only a part of his children had followed his suggestions and were willing to delve into their talents and potential. Most of his children, other than cultivating, still spent their free time on personal interests and hobbies. Chapter 1004, Minor Qing Spiritual Body, Starlight Plate. Chapter 1004, Chapter 358, Minor Qing Spiritual Body, Starlight Plate. For instance, the top rebellious seed, Lu Wangshu, is known for having a wide range of interests and hobbies. Thinking of this daughter, Lu Changxing suddenly realized it had been some time since he last paid attention to her cultivation progress, and decided to check on her. Lu Changxing arrived at Lu Wangshu's courtyard and saw that his daughter was actually leaning over her desk, earnestly writing something, a look of surprise on his face. When he approached and saw what his daughter was writing, he was stunned. Miss Qin, today while I was practicing my boxing, a strange coconut suddenly hit my head. What kind of strange coconut could it be, the nights when I think of you? Lu Changxing, looking at the contents his daughter had written, was completely dumbfounded, with a look of sheer bewilderment. What the hell is this? Is this something a person could write? He felt goosebumps all over his body. Lu Wangshu, what the hell is this that you're writing? Lu Changxing immediately asked with a frown. Dad, didn't you say to help my brother send a letter to the Heavenly Sword sect? I wrote a letter before, but my sister-in-law didn't respond. I think it's time to stop being so subtle and to be more direct. Moreover, given my brother's emotional intelligence, it's likely he can't say anything too flowery, so it's better to be straightforward. Lu Wangsha's pink lips pursed as she picked up the brush with a listless look. Although she was at the prime age of beauty and youth, she had no understanding of romance and love. Not to mention she had to imitate the tone of her brother's dull personality in writing this letter, which was no small feat. You even know your brother can't say things like that. Lu Changxing tapped on his daughter's head with annoyance. He then pondered for a moment and said, "Go and chat with your brother, ask him about his past travels. Just ask him if he encountered anything interesting or fun on his journey. He has adopted a ghost slave named An, right? You could easily write about it in the letter, expressing how pitiful and well-behaved this little An is, and suggest that she could meet him. Also, when you finish writing the letter, you might want to put a few petals or leaves in each one, indicating that these are seen while traveling, expressing certain meanings, longing. When writing a letter, think more carefully and learn more about this Miss Qin's personality and the matters between them from your brother." Lu Changxing spoke with earnest, instructing his daughter. "Dad, is this how you deceived Mom back in the day?" Lu Wangshu was stunned and said. "Lu Changxing, have some respect. Your mother and I were a match of talent and beauty, mutually in love." Lu Changxing tapped his daughter's forehead and said, "You can ask your brother later. He might be unwilling, but he'll still tell you if you ask." When it came to understanding his son's personality, he knew him like the back of his hand. "Dad, why don't you go and talk to my brother yourself?" Lu Wangshu pouted. "Just do as I say, why so many questions?" Lu Changxing said so. Although this father was very casual on normal days and didn't carry much authority in front of his children, in his opinion, this matter seriously undermined his image of being wise and majestic, so it was still up to his daughter to handle it. "All right, Dad, stop knocking on my head all the time," Lu Wangshu protested. "System, draw a lottery." After urging his daughter, Lu Changxing came to the top of Baiyun Peak, gazing at the vast Baishui Lake. He took a deep breath and silently thought to himself. A pale red roulette wheel appeared, starting to spin with golden light. After a few breaths, the golden light settled on the magical treasures category. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a magical treasure, Starlight Plate. The prize has been delivered to the system space. The host may check at any time. A compass, glittering with starlight, emerged from the roulette wheel, accompanied by a system notification sound. Magical treasure, Starlight Plate? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow at this reward. Unable to deduce the effect of the magic artifact from its name, he focused his mental spirit, looking towards the system space. Magic artifact, Starlight Plate, grade, lower grade magical treasure, description, forged from 9 heaven star sand and 1,000-year fine iron. It can transform into stars and enter the 9 heavens gang wind for speed enhancement, serving as a top-notch travel magic artifact. It can also harness starlight to shroud oneself for evasion from pursuit, and can use the starlight to illuminate and break through barriers. Is this a flying magic artifact? Lu Changxing examined the introduction of the Starlight Plate, his eyebrows lightly raised, his face showing pleasure. He had been thinking of drawing a travel magic artifact. This would make his future outings much more efficient and convenient. Unexpectedly, he had drawn one so quickly. Although it was just a lower-grade magical treasure, it was more practical given his current cultivation level. Like the fate-defying robe he had received before, which was a superior quality treasure, but in his hands, it only had basic effects, and he couldn't fully exhibit the powers of the robe. Retrieve. Lu Changxing immediately extracted the Starlight Plate from the system to see its specific effects. Buzz. Instantly, a compass the size of a palm brimming with stars, akin to a miniature star chart, appeared in front of Lu Changxing. The compass was brilliant with starlight, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura. Just like the system explanation, this Starlight Plate was indeed a travel magic artifact. In addition to flying, it also had defensive, concealing, and barrier-breaking abilities. It could consume mana to form a sky full of stars to envelop oneself and be used for defense, concealment, and barrier-breaking. However, these three effects could be considered average in power and could not fully be relied upon as a defensive magic artifact. At most, they could be used to resist the 9 heavens gang wind or sudden attacks while traveling. If used at night, this starlight plate could also draw upon the stars in the sky, reducing consumption and increasing speed. Not bad, with this starlight plate, my current needs for a travel magic artifact are met. Lu Chengxing looked at the starlight plate in front of him, a faint smile on his face. Then, he entered Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven and went to his cave mansion to begin refining the magic artifact. With a magic artifact like this lower-grade magical treasure, he could slowly nurture it within his body with mana, enhancing its power and further aligning it with himself. Chapter 1005, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. Chapter 1005, Chapter 359, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. Luoyun Mountain Range. The entire mountain range stretched out like an azure dragon coiled up, majestic and continuous, with rising and falling peaks, vast and magnificent. At this moment, within the mountain range, light and shadow flickered, and roars resounded, numerous demon beasts shrieked and howled, trees shuddered, and leaves rustled. Boom! A piece of the mountainside collapsed, a hurricane swept across in all directions, and sand and dust flew about. Ga, countless black mist crows surged from the collapsed mountainside into the sky, forming a dark river that blotted out the sun, accompanied by the piercing caws. Black Crow Old Demon, hand over the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, or you won't be able to escape. Sword Chi tore through the void, like a celestial river pouring down from the heavens, slashing through the black mist and severing the dark river. A stunningly beautiful woman, about 25 or 26, with a delicate and three-dimensional face and a frosty, heroic gaze, appeared, clad in a white tight-fitting garment, brandishing a deep blue magical sword in her hand. Her magical sword glimmered with dazzling brilliance, sword chi pouring down like a silver river from the nine heavens, like tides, like rain, containing peerless killing intent, sealing heaven and earth. You little girl, you think you can stop this true immortal? A sharp and grating, irritatingly layered, old voice emanated from within the black mist crows. In the midst of the cause, countless mist crows swirled together, coalescing into a gigantic black crow several zhang in size. Ga. The sharp beak of the black giant crow shone deadly, its wings outstretched, exuding an ominous aura of death, as it fiercely pierced through the void, charging toward Chu Qingyi. Chi. The mist crow broke through the sword chi, filling the void with incessant shrill screeches. Boom boom boom. Following that, the sword light collided with the black giant crow, and a series of dull sounds echoed between heaven and earth. A towering peak collapsed under the onslaught of the two, turning into ruins. The terrifying aftermath of their mana rippled in layers, raging wildly like a dam breach, wrecking everything in its path with relentless destruction. Large feathers fluttered down, and numerous fist-sized black crows tumbled from midair, transforming into mist and dissipating. But the remaining mist crows swept through like a tornado, engulfing the surrounding area. Where the black mist crows swept through, countless trees withered, birds and beasts' flesh shriveled, leaving only skeletons, resembling a land of silent death. Sword Light Universe. Chu Qingji's expression was cold and aloof. The magical sword in her hand shimmered, radiantly dazzling, gleaming brilliantly. Countless blue sword chi skyrocketed, flooding the sky dome, spawning myriad forms, and charging towards the black mist crows rolling forth. She had devoted so much mental spirit and effort to this secret realm. Now, before the treasured lotus had matured, it was plucked and taken away, igniting her murderous intent. Chi, the sword light was unmatched in sharpness, piercing through the sky dome, slicing through the clouds. Wherever it passed, a cacophony of crows shrieked, and gruesome black mists blew up before being shredded by the sword chi. Damn it! The face of Black Crow True Immortal turned sour. He had not expected that someone who had achieved the core formation breakthrough just a few years ago could possess such terrifying strength. However, his reluctance to fight Chu Qingyi was not because he was truly afraid of a junior who had only recently advanced in core formation. Instead, he was wary of the nascent soul immortals from Qingyun sect arriving. After all, he had already expended considerable energy trying to break through the layers of formations in the secret realm, delaying much time. Now there were surely nascent soul immortals from Qingyun sect heading this way. Enough. After weighing his options, he decided to shake off Chu Qingyi as soon as possible. Mist Crow Blood Escape Technique. Black Crow True Immortal formed a gesture incantation with both hands, his nascent soul magical power boiling within him, his essence blood and lifespan igniting. The numerous black mist crows around him gradually took on a bloody hue, propelling him forward as he shot out, thinking to disappear into the horizon. Where do you think you're going? Chu Qingyi, upon seeing this, had sword light swirling around her, her entire being like a resplendent streak of sword light, relentlessly pursuing Black Crow True Immortal. Damn it! Faced with the oncoming sword chi tearing through the air, Black Crow True Immortal had no choice but to keep warding off the attacks, unable to shake off Chu Qingyi's pursuit. Boom boom boom. The two constantly clashed, fighting from midair to within the mountains, with such formidable might that mountains collapsed and dust billowed. Just then, a profound voice echoed through the heavens and earth. Black Crow True Immortal, since you are here, stay. Why rush to leave now? Amidst the nine heavens gang wind, a tree trunk tens of zhang in length descended from the sky, bearing immense spiritual pressure. Atop it stood an elder with youthful features despite his white hair, dressed in a simple gray robe, radiating solemn dignity. He rode the giant trunk from the sky, its force overwhelming like a celestial pillar piercing through the sky dome, striking with a power that could sink the earth, awe-inspiringly immense. Not good. Black Crow True Immortal watched the scene, a twitch in the corner of his eye, a bad feeling welling up within him. He hadn't expected the nascent soul immortals from Qingyun's sect to arrive so swiftly. Moreover, it was a late-stage core formation great cultivator, a supreme elder from Qingyun's sect. He did not dare to hesitate, knowing that if he didn't pay a price, he might not be able to escape. Mist Crow Dismemberment Technique. Black Crow True Immortal let out a heaven-shaking howl, his body bursting with dark light like an erupting ghostly sun, the scattered crows cawing loudly, dispersing into countless black lights shooting in all directions. Trying to escape. Chu Qingyi and the gray-robed elder acted simultaneously, their massive mana sealed heaven and earth, their sword light and the giant wood striking the sky dome and earth, annihilating the countless mist crows. Ga, the constant cawing filled the air, countless mists roiling like boiling water evaporating, gathering and dispersing. Damn, it seems I have to bleed heavily today, or I'll have to settle here. But obtaining the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus is worth it. Black Crow True Immortal's eyes flickered with ruthless determination, pulling out a purple-red pill from his chest and tossing it towards the gray-robed elder. Boom! A thunderous roar resounded through heaven and earth, solidifying into a mushroom-shaped mass of purple lightning, causing the temperature in the area to soar suddenly, searing and violent, blasting open fissures that sealed the heavens and earth. Chapter 1006, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. Chapter 1006, Chapter 359, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. He then crushed the two jade talismans in his hand. Shwa shwa shwa, countless black fogs turned into crows, shooting off in all directions, with one talisman enveloping a black crow as it tore through the void. Lightning Bead, Shadow Transformation Talisman, Teleportation Talisman. The gray-robed elder looked at the dispersing Black Crow True Immortal, his expression growing ugly. He turned to Chu Qingyi and asked, Qingyi, what's the situation with the Tianyuan secret realm? Supreme Elder, this Black Crow old demon infiltrated the secret realm at some point and took the opportunity to pluck the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Chu Qingyi gently pursed her red lips as she spoke. What, the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus was taken? Hearing this, the gray-robed elder's face became extremely unsightly. According to their exploration, the secret realm in the Luoyun mountain range was a site from 8,000 years ago, left behind by the legendary great cultivator, the Tianyuan True Monarch. Besides many heavenly and earthly treasures within, there was a rare spirit plant known as the Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. This lotus effect was similar to the spiritual origin pearl, capable of providing a continuous supply of rich spiritual energy, making it very suitable for planting within a cave mansion. And when the Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus grew to a certain extent, it could possibly advance to become the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. The Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus not only far exceeded the heavenly origin precious lotus in effect, akin to a spiritual spring, but it could also be used to refine treasures of the void, serving as a second Dantian. Back in the day, the Tianyuan true monarch's name was known far and wide, dominating the southern wilderness cultivation realm, precisely because he used a fourth-ranked Tianyuan lotus as his second Dantian, granting him mana far superior to other nascent soul true lords. Although this Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus was only third rank and far from comparable to the Tianyuan True Monarch's Tianyuan Lotus, it was still an incredible treasure for nascent soul immortals. Yet now, such a treasure was taken by someone. You hurry back and guard the secret realm, ensure that there's no further accident. This demon is already seriously injured and absolutely cannot escape from Jianghu country so quickly. I'm going to ask Buswanzi to divine the whereabouts of this black crow old demon. The grey-robed elder said with a heavy voice. He did not blame Chu Qingyi for failing to defend. After all, no one would want such an incident to occur. Their main task now was to retrieve the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus as soon as possible. White Tiger Mountain. Big brother, Brother Qingsong, I'm going back. Lu Wangshu spoke out and opened the spiritual pet bag, revealing a green jade luan bird, full of immortal aura, before her eyes. Then, with a light tap of her toes, she gracefully landed on the luan bird, her figure charming and captivating as she waved goodbye to her two brothers. Wangshu, be careful on your way. You can come over to play anytime. Lu Pingan and Lu Qingsong said to their sister. I know. Lu Wangshu replied cheerfully, patted the green jade luan bird, and urged it to flap its wings, taking off into the air, heading in the direction of Bai Lake Mountain. This green jade luan bird had only recently advanced to the first stage middle phase, so its flight speed was not very fast. However, the mounts for flying at Bai Lake Mountain were all purchased from Hundred Birds Lake, primarily chosen for speed and feeding costs, with generally average appearances. That is why Lu Wangshu did not fancy the iron feather eagles from her home and instead used the green jade luan bird for travel. La la la. Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pale pink gown, with bright, expressive eyes, sat cross-legged on the luan bird and pulled out a jade slip somewhat listlessly. Her trip to White Tiger Mountain had been not only to get some fresh air but mainly to chat with her big brother about his early travels and Miss Qin's affairs. Just as her father had said, she had only to ask her big brother, who might be reluctant in his heart, but as long as she acted spoiled and showed curiosity, he would still tell her the truth. Lu Wangshu thought for a bit and began to record content on the jade slip with her spiritual sense. Miss Qin, as I write this letter, I just happened to be passing Guangling County, and I couldn't help but remember the time when we first met, last year at this door. A human face and peach blossoms reflected each other in red. Not knowing where the human face is now, the peach blossoms still smile in the spring breeze. Strike that, big brother doesn't have that culture. I revisited the old place and heard from the villagers that another giant python demon has appeared in these mountains. I went into the mountains to investigate and killed the python. It turns out this mountain held a treasure, which likely turned the former white tiger demon and this python into demons by consuming it. I sold this mountain treasure to the loose cultivator base at Kanjia Mountain and obtained 78 spirit stones. Oh, and on this trip home, there's a new sister in the family. Her name is Wangshu. Strike that, Mingyue. True to her name, she is like the bright moon in the sky, not only incredibly beautiful but also clever and intelligent, lively and lovely, innocent and joyful, understanding. I'll introduce you to her, you'll definitely like her. If you have any troubles, or matters, and would like to get to know her, you can write back to me, and she will surely be able to solve your problems. Lu Wangshu recorded the content of her intended letter on the jade slip. Shriek. Just then, the green jade luan bird she was sitting on suddenly let out a sharp cry and became unstable. Ah, what's wrong, little Qing? Lu Wangshu suddenly came out of her reverie, summoning several talismans in her hand and asking the green jade luan bird. However, before she could finish speaking, she felt something was wrong and saw that a pale, gaunt old man in a black robe had appeared before her at some point. The old man was watching her as if she were prey. Indeed, the blood talisman's spiritual body? It seems my luck is really looking up on this trip to Jianghu country, not only getting the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus but also encountering a blood talisman spiritual body. Pity, under the current circumstances, I cannot take this blood talisman spiritual body back for cultivation. However, the origin source of this blood talisman spiritual body can be used to nurture the talisman, which will increase my chances of escaping Jiang country. Chapter 1007, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. Chapter 1007, Chapter 359, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. The elder in the black robe had black pupils and was staring intently at Lu Wangshu, his eyes filled with greedy fervor. Blood Talisman Spiritual Body, a high-grade spirit body of the Talisman Path. Possessing such a spiritual body not only granted innate talent on the Talisman Path, but also allowed the consumption of essence blood to enhance the chances of talisman making and to burn essence blood and lifespan to use the blood to nourish and upgrade the grade of talismans. If willing to kill the goose that laid the golden eggs, one could directly use its spirit body origin to nurture talismans. Even a blood talisman spiritual body of the Qi refinement realm was enough to have a certain effect on third-rank talismans. He was currently in the midst of an escape, and if he could use the blood talisman spiritual body before him to nurture several third-rank spirit talismans, he would have a better chance of escaping the chase. Run! Lu Wangshu sensed something was off, danger, from the man's gaze. Moreover, the fact that the other party could fly indicated he was at least a foundation establishment cultivator, and she was no match for him. She immediately took out a stack of talismans and activated them, throwing them towards the black-robed elder in front of her, then activated a second-rank teleportation talisman in an attempt to flee. The girl has got some tricks, but dreaming of escaping is just that, a dream. The Black Crow True Immortal sneered with his pale and gaunt face, reaching out with a large hand as rolling black fog swiftly immobilized Lu Wangshu, making her unable to move. It's over, Dad, save me. Lu Wangshu realized she had encountered a terrible villain. This elder was likely more than just a simple foundation establishment cultivator. She immediately activated the substitute talisman in her sea of consciousness and also activated the mother and child talisman, calling for help from her father. Due to the past incident with Lu Rui, Lu Changxing had instructed them to use talismans at the first sign of danger to their lives, without any hesitation. Buzz! The substitute talisman burst into flames, wrapping Lu Wangshu in a mysterious force and forming a substitute puppet, which broke free from the Black Crow True Immortal's restraint and teleported to escape. But in that instant, the Black Crow True Immortal sensed something was amiss. The core formation within him surged, and a giant black fog crow appeared in the sky, directly intercepting and swallowing Lu Wangshu as she tried to teleport away. Is this a third-rank talisman? How does a little Qi refinement girl possess such a rare talisman? Could this girl be the direct descendant of a nascent soul immortal from Qingyun sect? The Black Crow True Immortal, looking at Lu Wangshu inside the black fog crow, felt a surge of doubt and suspicion. His current location was near Qingyun sect, so he speculated that Lu Wangshu might be from the sect. However, he did not pay much attention to whether Lu Wangshu was a disciple or offspring of a nascent soul immortal from Qingyun sect. He was currently facing pursuit from Qingyun sect and did not mind adding this little girl to his troubles. Swoosh! The Black Crow True Immortal flew away quickly with Lu Wangshu, intending to find a quiet place to use the girl's spirit body origin for nurturing talismans. By Lake Mountain. Changxing Hall. Lu Changxing toyed with the starlight plate in his hands, his mental spirit stirred. Immediately, the starlight plate transformed into a beam of light, entering his body, traveling along his meridians to his Qi ocean core, where it calmly revolved around the profound origin bead. It seems that it's necessary to break through core formation and use the Qi of the pill to nourish and enhance the power of magical treasures continuously. Lu Changxing saw his mana wash over the artifact without any nurturing effect. He knew that during the foundation establishment stage, one could only nurture a life-bound spiritual artifact. Only by breaking through core formation could the Qi of the pill nourish and increase the power of magical treasures. This was also why, as nascent soul immortals grew older, their physical condition might decline, but their magical treasures were generally very powerful. Right then, Lu Changsheng's heart skipped a beat, a mysterious connection tingled within him. He knew it meant his life substitute talisman had been used. This sensation had appeared twice over the years since the initial events with Li Feiyu and Lu Rui. But when his children were traveling far away, he could not pinpoint their exact location in the face of such danger, relying on the family tree to know whether they were alive or not. However, this substitute talisman he now felt was not very far from his domain at Bai Lake Mountain. At the same time, Lu Changxing felt something in his heart, and a yin-yang sensing talisman appeared in his hand. Wang Shu is in danger. Seeing the sensing talisman, Lu Changsheng's face turned dark and grim. This sensing talisman was a third-rank talisman, and even he didn't have many of them. Only to Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, Xiao Xia, Lu Pingan, Lu Wangshu, Lu Yun, and Lu Yuanding had he given a few. If they encountered an urgent situation, they could transmit a message through this sensing talisman, and as long as he was not outside the Qingyun region boundary, he could generally receive the signal. From the just-used substitute talisman and this sensing talisman from his daughter, Lu Changxing immediately knew that his daughter Lu Wangshu was in danger. And it was not a common danger. Lu Wangshu not only had a substitute talisman but also a second-rank puppet, a second-rank defense talisman, and escape talismans he had given her. She would not be in danger against an average Foundation establishment cultivator. Without another thought, Lu Changxing immediately exited the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. Changxing, what's wrong? Lu Miaoge noticed Lu Changsheng's anxious expression and asked. Wang Shu is in danger, I need to go out. Lu Changxing replied. As he spoke, he took out a blood-tracking talisman, applying his and Xiao Xia's blood to it. After the incident with Lu Rui, he kept a few blood-tracking talismans in his storage ring, and all his daughters who traveled had a sample of their mother's blood with them in case of need. Buzz! The blood-tracking talisman immediately pointed in a direction. Whoosh! Lu Changxing became a beam of escape light and shot out, leaving Bai Lake Mountain. Just past Bai Lake Mountain, the starlight plate appeared beneath his feet, enveloping him as if he were a meteor, slashing across the sky, vanishing from sight. Chapter 1008, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. _4 Chapter 1008, Chapter 359, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. _4. In a mountain cave. Dad said that life-saving talismans could help escape from any cultivator below a nascent soul immortal, but my talisman was activated and I still didn't escape. Could this old man be a nascent soul immortal? It's over, it's all over. If Dad receives my sensing talisman and comes over, what if he can't beat him? This time, I've really screwed Dad over. Lu Wangshu's heart was in turmoil as she wondered what to do. She looked at Black Crow True Immortal with a forced smile on her face and said sweetly, Grandpa, I don't know why you've captured me, but if there's something you need, just tell me. The complexion of Black Crow True Immortal was dark and pale. He ignored Lu Wangshu and, after setting up the cave's formation, began to prepare the blood sacrifice ritual. Grandpa, if it's wealth you're seeking, my dad is very rich. You must have seen the talisman I just used, my dad gave it to me. We have even more advanced talismans at home. If you need anything, I can ask my dad to bring it. Lu Wangshu continued to speak, hoping to send a message to keep her father from coming. This wretch was a nascent soul immortal. Should he come, she would indeed be betraying her father. Heh! Black Crow True Immortal let out a disdainful snort. He had already identified Lu Wangshu as a direct disciple, a daughter of someone from the nascent soul level of Qingyun sect. If it weren't for the matter of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, he wouldn't mind abducting this young girl and attempting extortion against her family. After all, it was quite unexpected for a mere energy refining cultivator to possess second-rank and third-rank talismans. If he had paid a visit, he might have gained quite a lot from them. But having just stolen the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus from the Qingyun sect, he was in a weakened state. Even if this young girl was of a blood talisman spiritual body and a daughter of a nascent soul, the Qingyun sect would not let him leave the Jianghu country cultivation realm unscathed just to save this little girl. It's over, he's not coming for me, is he? Lu Wangshu watched as Black Crow True Immortal remained unfazed, and she grew more anxious. She never thought she'd be so unlucky to encounter such an event on a rare excursion outside. When her parents told her about the dangers of the cultivation world, she thought they were exaggerating. With so many talismans on her, she believed there would be no danger. "Grandpa, I'm serious, my dad really dotes on me. He can afford any price. Not just advanced talismans, but also advanced elixir medicines, magical treasures. My dad has all of these." Lu Wangshu kept speaking, hoping to persuade Black Crow True Immortal in front of her. Buzz. As a nascent soul immortal, how could Black Crow True Immortal not see through Lu Wangshu's little scheme? Her attempts to sweet-talk were clearly to call for help, and he was not about to be fooled. With a mere raise of his hand, his mana flowed, silencing Lu Wangshu, and she found herself immobilized. Then, under Lu Wangshu's gaze, Black Crow True Immortal set up an altar and placed 3 spirit talismans in front of it. "Rise." Black Crow True Immortal, his face gaunt and shadowy, made a gesture incantation toward Lu Wangshu. Suddenly, little flags around the altar fluttered noisily as rolling black mist, like crows and serpents, surged towards Lu Wangshu, intent on entering her body and activating the origin of her blood talisman spiritual body. Faced with this rolling black mist, Lu Wangshu felt a sense of despair. Knowing full well that with her strength, she had no chance of fighting back against the elder before her. She also hoped that by dying sooner, perhaps her dad wouldn't come, right? Whoosh whoosh whoosh, dark fog rolled in, engulfing Lu Wangshu's entire body, quickening the flow of blood in her veins, while her vision progressively blurred. "Am I going to die like this? I'm not ready, father." Lu Wangshu felt an intense heat throughout her body, her consciousness growing fuzzier, a blood-colored spiritual pattern within her chi ocean core faintly visible. She had no idea how much time had passed, but just as her sight was about to be completely enveloped in darkness and her consciousness on the verge of collapse, a thunderous noise suddenly erupted between heaven and earth. A divinely dazzling light appeared, tearing through the darkness before her. What followed was an endless blaze, as if sweeping over from the void, forming a fiery purple-red flood dragon that roared ferociously, its might both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The black fog within the cavern vaporized under the dragon flame. "Old fool, dare to lay a hand on my daughter, are you tired of living?" A man emerged from within the sea of fire, his visage handsome, build tall and slender, as he looked at Black Crow True Immortal with a cold voice. He wore a mystic robe of luxurious quality, with a splendid divine light flowing and entwining across his chest, covering his figure with a 9-colored halo, rendering his lofty stature even more sacred and grand. Resting upon his right shoulder was a head, black and rigid, with pitch-black, ink-like eyes devoid of whites, hair unkempt and fearsome to behold. This head stared directly at Black Crow True Immortal, its 2 eyes like whirlpooling black holes, enticing the mental spirit, intimidating the soul, its hair writhing wildly, emanating an eerily dark and dreadful aura. A layer of pitch-dark light, accompanied by wisps of black fog, madly spread from the center, turning the surrounding world into a howling netherwind, akin to netherworld hell. As the ghost domain emerged, a gigantic figure appeared, muscular and with imposing bull horns, resembling a small mountain, exuding an indescribable pressure. At this moment, within Black Crow True Immortal's field of vision, was a woman with a pale and eerily beautiful demeanor, wearing a black, luxurious dress, her feet as white as lotus, each ankle adorned with a golden ring. Holy daughter. Black Crow True Immortal subconsciously forced a smile as he bowed respectfully. Not good. This is an illusion. But in an instant, he felt something was amiss, as cawing filled his ears. He quickly bit the tip of his tongue and circulated his cultivation technique and divine sense. Boom! The illusion before his eyes shattered abruptly. But no sooner had he wrestled free from the illusion, he saw, in reality, 2 abyssal eyes staring him down, making his body stiffen. His legs felt as though submerged in a quagmire. A massive figure with the head of a bull and the body of a human, as well as a young man with a handsome face and a sacred, majestic stature, came at him, their fists like wild dragons leaving their lair, stirring up boundless corpse chi and a purple-red flood dragon. Ah! Black Crow True Immortal screamed as his body instantly exploded under the force of the two fists, torn to pieces. However, the body that had just burst apart instantly turned into rolling blood mist and black fog, combining with the true elixir to form a black crow, attempting to flee. But at that moment, the fearsome endless guileful head suddenly split its mouth wide in a fierce grin, and with a single gulp, a wind blew through, swallowing the black crow whole. "Humph, cur, dying like this is too easy for you." Lu Zhang stood in his mystic robe, his stature upright, his demeanor icy. "Master." At this time, a silver-haired, alluring woman holding the unconscious Lu Wangshu approached Lu Zhang's side. Lu Zhang took Black Crow True Immortal storage ring, the Thunder Gang dragon flame incinerating every remnant breath around them, then gently and tenderly scooped up his daughter, gathered up the endless guileful head and the thousand faces puppet fox, and pulled out a teleportation talisman, instantly activating it. Once they reappeared dozens of miles away, Lu Zhang stood upon a starlight plate, transforming into a trail of starlight, soaring upwards into the sky, and swiftly departed into the nine heavens gang wind. The thousand faces puppet fox had sensed something off about this nascent soul immortal just moments ago. Not only was he a demonic path cultivator, but also severely wounded and weak, likely facing pursuit from other core formation cultivators, hence his resorting to using his daughter's talismans. Regardless, this devil path true person was certainly problematic, involved in something, and Lu Zhang knew he must not get entangled in this matter. Chapter 1009, The Nine Heavenly Winds, Divination and Calculation. Chapter 1009, Chapter 360, The Nine Heavenly Winds, Divination and Calculation. Lu Changxing cradled his daughter, Lu Wangshu, stepping on the starlight plate with streams of dazzling starlight flowing around them, shooting towards the high sky like a meteor entering the ninth heavenly gang wind layer. Hoo, dash, the heavenly winds howled from all sides like the wails of ghosts or the cries of wolves, pummeling him like torrential rain on banana leaves. Looking around, one could even see tornado-like wind pillars, as if they were sentient, floating in the clouds, seemingly about to devour and crush everything. This was gang wind. The higher he flew, the fiercer the gang wind became, resembling the force of wind-based technique and magical powers. No wonder only nascent soul immortals are capable of roaming amidst the nine heavens gang wind. Lu Changxing gazed at the violent currents and muttered with emotion. The ninth heavenly gang wind layer was the flying domain of high-rank cultivators. Ordinary foundation establishment cultivators without magical treasures for protection would likely be torn limb from limb upon entering the gang wind layer, leaving no bone or trace behind. Even as a quasi-third-order body refiner, Lu Changxing wouldn't be comfortable in this gang wind layer without the protection of the starlight plate, making it difficult to move about freely. It's said that nascent soul immortals like to travel through the ninth heavenly gang wind layer, not just for convenience but also because the higher one goes, the greater the chance of finding heavenly spiritual objects or treasures emerging from the void. Lu Changxing looked up towards the higher layers. Previously, Hong Lian had told him about the many sun and moon essences and condensed heaven and earth spiritual materials formed from starlight and meteorites in the ninth heavenly gang wind layer. Moreover, some cultivators like to place their magical treasures into the gang wind for refinement by the wind's power. If mishaps befell the owners during this process, whether they were killed, succumbed to demonic possession, or had other accidents, these magical treasures would become unclaimed and drift within the gang wind layer. Hence, nascent soul immortals were fond of wandering the nine heavens gang wind when idle. But though it was said that way, those fortunate enough to come upon such opportunities were still few and far between. Lu Changxing didn't believe he was so lucky as to find a treasure on his first voyage into the ninth heavenly gang wind layer. Besides, Lu Changxing had heard from Hong Lian that besides the omnipresent gang wind, there were occasional dangers like thunderstorms, fluxes, mists, and absolute spirit and other hazardous situations in the gang wind. One misstep could lead to disaster. Consequently, foundation establishment cultivators and false core cultivators would rarely venture into the gang wind layer even if they could enter with the aid of treasures. Meeting such peril could mean utter destruction. Lu Changxing looked tenderly at his daughter in his arms, channeling the yin-yang creation scripture and using yin-yang magic power to nourish her physical body, meridians, and dantian. He had checked earlier, his daughter was not in serious trouble. She was merely stimulated by some technique an old man had used on her spiritual body origin, causing her body to be under severe strain and in need of good care. Looking at his daughter's somewhat pale cheeks, Lu Changxing took out a third-rank rejuvenation insignia and used it on her. After a long time, Lu Wangshu's eyelashes trembled slightly, feeling warm and embraced, with a warm current flowing through her limbs, meridians, and dantian, very comfortable. She slowly opened her eyes, saw her father's face in front of her, and murmured dreamily, "Daddy, am I dreaming?" "Wangshu, you're awake," Lu Changxing said softly. "Daddy, you got caught too." Hearing this, Lu Wangshu immediately realized she wasn't dreaming, thinking her old father had come to rescue her but ended up captured, and said with some guilt, "Lu Changxing, I was thinking of sending you a message, telling you not to come over, but that old man," Lu Wangshu continued to speak, looking like she was about to cry. But the next moment, a few bits of clarity returned to her, and she noticed something was off. She had been full of black mist, in great pain and unable to speak at the time. Now, not only could she speak, but she also felt warm all over, as if she was soaking in a hot spring. "It's all right now, that old man has been taken care of by your father," Lu Changxing said with a smile as he pinched his daughter's smooth cheek. "Ah, taken care of." Lu Wangshu relaxed after hearing this, the tension in her mental spirit easing at once. Then with a mix of a grievance and fear, she said, "Woo, Daddy, it scared me to death, I thought I was going to die. And that mean old man was really powerful. Even the life-saving talismans you gave me didn't help me escape, and I was worried that if you came, you wouldn't be able to beat him. It's okay now, it's all okay." Lu Changxing comforted her warmly. He knew the previous situation must have been very frightening for his daughter. After all, this was a daughter he had doted on since childhood, never having to suffer any misfortune or loss, never experiencing such circumstances. Lu Wangshu gradually settled down with his reassurance. Looking at her father before her, she remembered the last scene before she passed out, her excitement bubbling as she said, "Daddy, I felt like I was going to faint and heard a loud noise, followed by light, and a lot of fire appeared. Was that you?" It was just like the stories where a fairy encountered danger, and then a great hero descended from the sky to save her. Darn, she had fainted just then and missed seeing her father's heroic entrance. Besides, her father had even bothered to change his clothes before coming. "Yes," Lu Changxing said as he ruffled his daughter's hair. He had realized something was amiss at the time, and seeing a formation concealed the area, he sent in the Thousand Faces puppet fox. Then he used the unsealing divine light to break through the formation's prohibitions and shattered the cave mansion with the Thunder Gang dragon flame. "Like father, like daughter, you're truly amazing." Lu Wangshu's face lit up with a smile, looking to get out of Lu Changxing's embrace. After all, she was already so grown, being held by her father as when she was a child was somewhat embarrassing. At that moment, Lu Wangshu noticed the surrounding flow of starlight. Chapter 1010, 9 Heavens Gang Wind, Divination Calculation. Chapter 1010, Chapter 360, 9 Heavens Gang Wind, Divination Calculation. Through the starlight, an endless expanse unfolded, with surging astral winds sweeping across as if to tear everything apart. Lu Wangshu suddenly looked towards Lu Changxing, feeling bewildered, and asked, "Daddy, where are we?" "This is the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer," Lu Changxing set his daughter down and stood on the starlight plate, saying so. 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer? Lu Wangshu blinked in astonishment, then with her little mouth agape, she exclaimed in surprise, could this be the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer that only nascent soul immortals can enter, as mentioned in the books? "Daddy, so you are a nascent soul immortal?" Lu Wangshu looked at Lu Changxing, her face filled with surprise and delight, her sparkling eyes full of dependence and admiration. It was then she belatedly realized, recalling the old man who had captured her, that he could very well be a nascent soul immortal. And if her own daddy had managed to rescue her safely, he must certainly be a nascent soul immortal too. She wasn't too shocked by this revelation, but merely smiled with curved eyes, looking content as she said, You truly are my daddy. By the way, daddy, does that old man have a grudge against you? Did he kidnap me to threaten you? Lu Wangxing continued to ask. She had never met that old man. Moreover, the man had attacked her without saying a word, which left her baffled, causing her to think he might bear a grudge against her daddy. Stop there, I'm not a nascent soul immortal. I've come to the 9th heavenly gang wind layer merely by the aid of magical treasures, Lu Changxing said, stopping his daughter from continuing that train of thought. As for that old man, I don't know him either. It must have been a chance encounter, and he took an interest in your blood talisman's spiritual body. He ensured she wouldn't ponder further. I see. Lu Wangshu felt a bit let down upon hearing this. She had thought herself to be the second generation of an immortal. After all, walking around with a daddy who was a nascent soul immortal would give her much face. Nevertheless, she didn't care too much and, standing on the starlight plate, she looked around and said, so this is what the 9th heavenly gang wind layer looks like. You'd better be careful, even a slight brush from the 9th heavenly gang wind could end you. Lu Changxing glanced at his daughter, seeing her curious baby look, and warned her. Daddy, don't scare me. Your precious daughter has just been kidnapped, and her tender heart suffered trauma, in need of comfort. Lu Wangshu pouted and asked, clinging tightly to her daddy's arm, Daddy, where are we going? In her eyes, the 9th heavenly gang wind layer was a vast expanse of nothingness, with the situation unclear. That old man is a demonic path cultivator and was in a gravely injured state. I suspect he was being pursued and murdered, so to avoid trouble and getting noticed, he came to the 9th heavenly gang wind layer, Lu Changxing explained. His eyes were profound, shining like stars. He looked through the mists of the astral winds, overlooking the mountains and lands below. However, at such a height, even he could only discern an approximate outline and was unable to pinpoint a precise location. Oh, I see. Lu Wangshu obediently clung to her father's arm, realizing the trouble she had caused him. Then, Lu Changxing took out Black Crow True Immortal's storage ring and started to sort through and inspect it. The 9th heavenly gang wind layer, apart from being a convenient place for travel and picking up treasures, was also an excellent place to dispose of ill-gotten gains. Thus, in the gang wind layer, the treasures occasionally found may be objects discarded by others. Several hours later, several rays of rainbow light descended from the high heavens and arrived in front of a charred and broken cavern. Buswanzi, are you certain that Black Crow Old Demon is here? A crane-haired, child-faced old man clad in a simple gray robe looked at the scene before him and spoke with a grave expression. There are traces of a battle here, and when I previously used divination to investigate Black Crow Old Demon's situation, I foretold that this man faced a great omen of danger, which seems to indicate that his luck is more on the side of disaster than fortune, said an adjacent old man with a withered face and white hair and beard, dressed in a black Daoist robe, his voice hoarse and aged. A fortune revealing great danger signified a 9 in 10 chance of life-threatening peril. Disaster is more likely than fortune. The gray-robed old man's expression turned somewhat unsightly upon hearing this. He had paid a significant price to engage Buswanzi to ascertain Black Crow True Immortal's circumstances. But now, with Black Crow Old Demon dead, that indicated yet another twist in events. The more uncertainties that arose, the harder it would become for him to reclaim the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. The gray-robed old man materialized a white treasure bead in his hand and infused it with mana. The bead spun rapidly in the air, absorbing all the spiritual mechanism essences in the vicinity, searching for clues. This is fire and corpse energy? After a moment, the gray-robed old man inspected the 2 strands of essence within the white bead and furrowed his brow. He pondered which renowned nascent soul immortal specialized in fire and corpse refinement techniques. The Heavenly Corpse sect possesses a divine skill known as Heavenly Een Corpse Fire, but rumor has it that only the sect master of the Heavenly Corpse sect has mastered it. Moreover, this trace of fiery essence is domineering and doesn't resemble a Een fire. The gray-robed old man looked at the spiritual mechanism essences within the bead, his mind racing, unable to match them with anyone. After all, who cultivates both a yang-driven domineering flame as well as the corpse path? He turned towards Buswanzi and politely said, Buswanzi, I would like to request your help to cast a divination and deduce the person who killed Black Crow Old Demon. Rest assured, I, or Qingyun sect, will owe you a favor for this, stated the gray-robed old man earnestly. Divination could deduce the heavenly secrets, subtly predict personal fortunes and misfortunes, and the circumstances of others. But not only did this practice require immense talent and ability, but the cultivation process also came at a significant cost. It not only drained one's mental energy but could also reduce one's lifespan and fortune. Therefore, even though he was a supreme elder of Qingyun sect, to engage Buswanzi's services, he had to promise heavy rewards and favor. Venerable Gu Yun, although Black Crow Old Demon was heavily injured by your pursuit, his strength is not to be underestimated. This person, who managed to find Black Crow Old Demon before us and kill him, clearly possesses no ordinary strength. Chapter 1011, 9 Heavenly Winds, Divination Calculation. Chapter 1011, Chapter 360, 9 Heavenly Winds, Divination Calculation. Buswanzi's voice was hoarse as he spoke. He had performed divinations for many people and knew that divination did not always yield results. Even if there were results, they might be rather vague, offering only a general direction. If the other party still wanted him to make a move, he was willing to comply. However, he had to state in advance that even if he did not derive any useful information, it was not his responsibility, and the other party would still owe him a favor. Please make a move, my friend. Regardless of success or failure, the Qingyun sect will be grateful. The gray-robed elder understood and responded with a cupped fist salute. The value of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus alone was worth a favor. Moreover, the sudden appearance of Black Crow Old Demon in the Tianyuan secret realm was one thing. Now, another mysterious person had intercepted and killed Black Crow Old Demon, making him suspect that the matter was not simple. He suspected that an invisible powerful force was scheming against his Qingyun sect, particularly regarding the Tianyuan secret realm. Thus, he needed to clarify this matter. All right. Buswanzi nodded upon hearing this. He took out a turtle shell and channeled the essence of spiritual energy from a white treasure bead into the shell. Then, with one hand performing a gesture incantation and the other tossing several copper coins, he began the divination. After a long while. Buswanzi furrowed his brows, feeling an invisible resistance during the process of divination. There were 3 possible explanations. First, the target might be adept in divinatory skills, confusing the heavenly secrets, or someone might be concealing the heavenly secrets on their behalf. Second, the target's fate could be extraordinary, and divining it might require a certain price. Third, the target could possess some kind of treasure that blocked divinatory efforts. With his hands still in a gesture incantation, he took out a bamboo tube from his storage bag, shook several bamboo slips to try deriving a vague direction. Yet at this moment, not only did he fail to obtain any information, but a foreboding omen also rose in his heart. He knew that continuing the divination would not only reduce his lifespan and fortune but could also entangle him in problematic karma. As a diviner, the first rule was to remain uninvolved and not invite any karmic trouble. He immediately ceased his efforts, his face pale and his breath weak, as he said hoarsely to the gray-robed elder, "Ancient Cloud, am powerless in this matter." The gray-robed elder's face turned visibly unpleasant upon hearing this. He had not expected that the divination would yield no results at all. "Ancient Cloud, during my divination just now, I immediately faced an invisible resistance. I tried to probe further and even sensed an ominous omen, indicating that this person is no ordinary individual, either possessing remarkable strength or belonging to some major power." Buswanzi declared his inability to proceed. An ominous omen, Ancient Cloud Immortal pondered upon hearing this. Yet seeing Buswanzi's expression and weak aura, he knew these were not empty words. He solemnly nodded and said with a cupped fist, "It must have been difficult for you, friend." At this point, he was almost certain of his guess. The mysterious individual who had killed Black Crow Old Demon was well prepared. It seemed likely that this person had been targeting the Tianyuan secret realm and the Tianyuan Lotus for some time. Even Black Crow Old Demon's presence in the Tianyuan secret realm might be related to this person. Who exactly is this person, and from which power does he come? It's possible that he intentionally left behind flame and deathly aura to affect our judgment, ancient cloud immortal speculated in his mind. At this moment, he knew that the matters of the Tianyuan secret realm could not be monopolized by his Qingyun sect. They must expose this secret realm. Otherwise, it could bring trouble to their Qingyun sect. In the 9th heavenly gang wind layer, Lu Changxing was sorting through Black Crow True Immortal's storage ring, unaware that he was currently being divined. He looked at the shuttle in his hand, misty as a crow, and shook his head. It seems this person was more seriously injured before than I had thought. Not only is the true elixir dim, but the magical treasures are also fundamentally damaged. Although such treasures were of no use to him, a damaged treasure would be significantly less effective if used for his children. After pondering for a moment, he took out a jade plate-sized lotus that looked like an immaculate gem. The lotus, despite being plucked, emanated a vibrant life force. The translucent petals shimmered with radiant lights, as if harboring divine energies, filled with an immensely pure spiritual energy. Lu Changxing, though unfamiliar with the lotus, could tell it was extraordinary. The roots are damaged, but its vitality is preserved by a freezing chill. If taken home sooner, it might have a chance to be revived and continue growing, Lu Changxing quietly thought. Due to Zhao Qingqing and Lu Miaoyun being second-order spiritual planters. In previous years, his son had brought back many spirit plants and spiritual medicines from the Purple Shadow secret realm. Thus, he had garnered much knowledge about spirit plants. Recognizing that the lotus must have been harvested by Black Crow True Immortal, who preserved its vitality. "Daddy, what a beautiful lotus flower," Lu Wangshu exclaimed upon seeing the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, her eyes brimming with fascinating colors. "Yes, it is indeed beautiful." Lu Changxing glanced at his daughter, nodded, and tucked the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus back into the storage ring, planning to take his daughter out for a few days before heading home. Later, he would ask Ling Zixiao and Hong Lian if they knew what this lotus was. "This lotus is currently frozen, and its vitality hindered. It's not suitable for handling now." Seeing his daughter puffing her cheeks while looking at him, Lu Changxing poked her rosy cheeks and said with a smile. Then, riding on the starlight plate, he dove down from the 9th heavenly gang wind. Navigating the starlight plate in the 9th heavenly gang wind had also drained him substantially. Chapter 10-12, 9 Heavens Gang Wind, Divination Calculation. _4 Chapter 10-12, Chapter 360, 9 Heavens Gang Wind, Divination Calculation. _4 Had it not been for the profound origin bead by his side, his mana would have almost run out by now. And for Lu Wangshu, the 9th heavenly gang wind layer was vast and monotonous, extremely dull and boring. Moments later, Lu Changxing and his daughter arrived above a mountain range, where he took out a map to check their current location. Just then, he heard some commotion a few miles away, where a ferocious demon tiger was pursuing 2 energy-refining cultivators. Swish! Seeing this, Lu Changxing flicked his fingers as if they were a sword, and a sword chi spell tore through the air, shooting out and piercing through the demon tiger's head with a bloody hole, cause its agonized collapse to the ground. "Thank you, Senior. Thank you for the rescue, Senior." The 2 energy-refining cultivators were startled, then saw Lu Changxing and Lu Wangshu in mid-air, and immediately knelt down and shouted. "Daddy, now you're just like the immortals in the storytellers' books who slay demons, dispel evils, and save the world." Lu Wangshu flattered her own father. "Heh," Lu Changxing chuckled softly. He might not consider himself a good person, but when encountering such matters, he was willing to help. "Daddy, was that a sword technique you just used? And what about that light and the flame you used when you saved me?" Lu Wangshu asked. Only today did she realize that she knew nothing about her father's strength or methods. "Why, you want to learn?" Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow and replied when he saw his daughter's curious look. He knew his daughter's curiosity. "People just want to see, Daddy. When you made your entrance, you were surely handsome and imposing, dashing and extraordinary, but I missed it all and only saw a dazzling light and purple-red flame." Lu Wangshu said playfully, with an innocent and pleasing face. "Well, I'll show you." Lu Changxing chuckled softly, lifting his palm slightly, and a purple-red flame with spark-like arcs appeared in his hand. Inside it, a flood dragon, resembling both a snake and a dragon, flickered in and out of view, exuding a fierce and overpowering aura. "Daddy, what spell is this? I want to learn," Lu Wangshu said immediately upon seeing the flame before her. "This can only be learned by those with exceptional talent. You can't learn it." Lu Changsheng had anticipated his daughter's reaction and spoke directly. "But Daddy, as your precious daughter, I must have exceptional talent, right? Look, I always come first in whatever I learn, so please teach me." Lu Wangshu coquettishly wrapped her arms around her father's, pleading. "This spell requires foundation establishment before you can learn it. Cultivate well, and once you've established your foundation, I'll teach you," Lu Changsheng said with a smile. "Dad, you're not lying to me, are you?" Lu Wangshu looked up at her father with a doubtful expression. "Why would I lie to you? If one doesn't have exceptional talent, they might not be able to master this spell even after foundation establishment, plus it requires many conditions. But as long as you cultivate diligently, your father has prepared everything for you," Lu Changsheng declared confidently. Then, with a wave of his hand, the flame in his palm, like a roaring flood dragon, shot toward a distant mountain peak, causing an explosive rumble and spreading fire. "See, this spell's power, is it ordinary?" Lu Changsheng stood tall, speaking to his daughter. Daddy, how could I doubt you? I will definitely cultivate diligently and master this spell." Lu Wangshu nodded repeatedly after witnessing the spectacle. Having narrowly escaped death, she was resolved to return home and cultivate earnestly. Now, seeing the Thunder Gang dragon flame only strengthened her resolve. "Daddy, and that light?" Lu Wangshu continued to inquire. "That belongs to a treasure, not a spell. It's been used up, gone," Lu Changsheng replied directly. He could procure another heavenly spiritual fire for his daughter. But he couldn't very well dig out the 9 treasures Rui bone for her, could he? "Sai, when I saw you in danger, I was in such a panic that I threw all the treasures at the problem without a second thought." Lu Changsheng glanced at his daughter's somewhat skeptical look and sighed. "Daddy, I'm sorry." Lu Wangshu's lips pursed and she looked down, upon hearing the words. "It's okay, as long as you're safe, it's all worth it. Talisman path is the invincible path, there's no need to learn other techniques. Just cultivate well, make a breakthrough in foundation establishment, and condense your life-bound divine talisman. No one in the foundation establishment stage will be your match." Lu Changsheng rumpled his daughter's hair as he spoke. Once his daughter made a breakthrough in foundation establishment and condensed her life-bound divine talisman, with a few hundred talismans and mastery of void drawing of talismans and talisman refinement formation techniques, no average foundation establishment cultivator would be a match for her. Lu Wangshu nodded in agreement, determined to return home and cultivate well to break through to foundation establishment as soon as possible. Chapter 1013, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. Chapter 1013, Chapter 361, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. Bihu Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. The Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Like a spiritual spring, it can be used to refine a void magical treasure, serving as a second Dantian. When Lu Changsheng heard Hong Lian's words, his eyes slightly narrowed, gazing at the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus in his hands. What is Yin and Yang? 2 begets 3, that is Yin and Yang. The cultivation technique he had been practicing, the Yin Yang Creation Classic, as a true immortal level technique, was profoundly mysterious. It emphasized the mutual generation of Yin and Yang, transforming all things with the effect of coordinating all laws. Once he completed the transformation in his cultivation and achieved the Yin Yang Creation Classic, he could freely transform his own cultivation level into corresponding demonic, Buddhist, or demon race cultivation techniques by utilizing the arbitrary transformation rules of nature's spiritual energy. This was why Lu Changsheng believed this cultivation technique was highly suitable for him. Because once he mastered this technique, there was no need to cultivate any Buddhist or demonic techniques. he could directly cultivate the Brahma Demon True Saint technique. However, to achieve this effect, one would need a treasure of the void as a foundation. The Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus before him seemed quite promising. It was only a third order. But according to Hong Lian, the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus could grow through cultivation, advancing to the fourth rank Tianyuan Lotus, even reaching the legendary Heavenly Yuan Dao Lotus. The Heavenly Yuan Dao Lotus was too far a goal for him to consider currently. But with the Myriad Spirits Bottle, the fourth rank Tianyuan Lotus seemed somewhat hopeful. Besides, the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus could also assist him in his core formation. He was looking to achieve a core formation breakthrough but faced a problem. Spirit Vein. To attempt core formation, a continuous supply of spiritual energy from a third-level Spirit Vein arena was necessary. However, the Spirit Vein of Bihu Lake was only a second-order superior. The Spirit Vein of the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven was a second-order inferior. Even if Mount Sumeru intervened, absorbing all spirit energy from Bihu into the cave heaven and exhausting vast amounts of spirit stones, the spiritual energy could only be reluctantly improved to third order, insufficient for his core formation. After all, with his current foundation, once he achieved core formation, it would surely be a superior gold core. The required spiritual energy was far beyond what other nascent soul cultivators needed. For this matter, Lu Changxing had several preparations. One of which was, after completing the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, to cultivate a nascent soul secret technique, Yin-Yang Primordial Elixir Method. The basic principle of this secret technique was, at the peak of foundation establishment, to compress part of the mana continuously, refining it in the Qi Ocean core into multiple elemental elixirs. During the core formation attempt, all elemental elixirs could merge to form an immortal golden core. This not only made core formation much easier, eliminating bottlenecks, but also reduced the necessity for nature's spiritual energy during the breakthrough, enhancing the quality of core formation. According to the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, if there is a second dantian to store elemental elixirs, then the upper limit of possible elemental elixirs significantly increases. As long as enough elemental elixirs are aggregated, even if elevating the spirit energy of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven to just quasi-third order, theoretically it should be sufficient to attempt core formation. Lu Changxing, looking at the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus in his hands, felt increasingly that this was suitable for him. Although cultivating this lotus to fourth order to become a Tianyuan lotus would also greatly enhance the spiritual energy of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, comparable to a third order spirit vein, even if he had the Myriad Spirits Bottle, cultivating it to fourth order would not be easy. Moreover, in his view, even if he cultivated it to fourth order Tianyuan lotus, it would still be better suited as a void magical treasure serving as a second dantian. What a pity there's only one Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. If there were a few more planted in the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, that would be better. Lu Changxing sighed with a tinge of regret. Then, he took his wife, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin, to the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Yuner, Zhenjin, give it your all and see if we can revive this Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Lu Changxing informed the two ladies about the matters regarding the lotus, preparing to revive and plant this lotus in the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Rest assured, husband. The two women nodded and replied. They were still in the foundation establishment stage. But because they cultivated the heavenly longevity technique, they were exceptionally talented in cultivating spirit plants, even able to expend their own lifespans to extend the vitality of the spirit plants. Seeing how their husband valued the lotus and asked for their help, both women took the matter very seriously. Okay. Lu Changxing nodded, then carefully unfroze the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus roots and placed it into the spiritual spring. Subsequently, he called out, Yuner, Zhenjin, Mount Sumeru. In an instant, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin made gesture incantations, their bodies surrounded by a rich vitality, green-blue mana surged from their palms, enveloping the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus before them. Simultaneously, Lu Changxing took out the Myriad Spirits Bottle. A drop of emerald, soybean-sized glistening liquid fell from the Myriad Spirits Bottle into the roots of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suddenly, the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus gently swayed, emitting a thriving presence. Lu Changxing, observing through his divine sense, noticed that the damage on the roots of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus slowly healed, seemingly replenished and restored. After a while, thin, mist-like, richly pure spiritual energy spilled from the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. It was as if an additional small spiritual spring had appeared in the eyes of the present spiritual spring. Yuner, Jinjin, that will do, you can rest for a while. Lu Changsheng, seeing his wife's pale face, immediately spoke. The Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus was already saved and maintaining its vitality. With the spiritual spring, care from Mount Sumeru, it could continue to recover and begin growing anew. Moreover, in 3 months' time, the Myriad Spirits bottle would condense another drop of Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew. By then, this Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus could probably fully recover and start growing. Emichim. Husband, is this sufficient? The two women, looking at the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus before them, asked. Chapter 1014, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. Chapter 1014, Chapter 361, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. They naturally could see that the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus had revived with new vigor. But the damage to its rhizomes seemed not yet healed, completely restored. It's good enough, thank you for your hard work. Lu Changsheng held his wife's hand and said in a gentle voice. The Supreme Sect has issued an order. Today the demonic path is causing chaos. If you find any trace of demonic path information, report it immediately. If anyone hides it, they will be executed on the spot. 10 days later, the Qingyun sect issued a demon subjugation order to all family forces and marketplaces. They didn't specify what the matter was. They merely indicated that there was chaos caused by the demonic path in Jianghu country, and everyone, including the family forces, only needed to report any trace of demonic path information to Qingyun sect. If it was verified to be true, Qingyun sect would reward them. Anyone who had ties with the demonic path and dared to hide it would be labeled as part of the demonic path. Could it be related to the demonic path cultivator who kidnapped Wangshu? Lu Changxing speculated upon hearing this news. After all, this incident happened immediately after the previous one, which forced him to make the connection. However, after he had killed the elderly man, nothing had occurred during his 7 days outside. This indicated that the incident had not involved him. Regarding the demon subjugation order, Lu Changxing merely instructed his children to avoid going out during this time. If they were at the marketplace, they should try not to travel back and forth during this period and use messaging for any issues. Although this demon subjugation order might be a means to locate a specific demonic path information, it could also lead to some loose cultivators who receive demonic inheritances, or demonic path cultivators hiding in Jianghu country, being noticed and driven to desperation. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. During these days, the demon subjugation order from Qingyun sect had become very heated. Not only from Qingyun sect, Lu Changxing heard that Wuxia sect, Spirit Taming sect, and Heavenly Sword sect had all issued similar orders. The entire Jianghu country cultivation realm had begun a round of cleansing against the demonic path. This reminded Lu Changxing of the demonic incident 20 years ago. At that time, the Jianghu country cultivation realm also conducted a cleansing, and the Xiahou clan was obliterated by Qingyun sect. Although Jianghu country has no fertile ground for the demonic path, every few decades, some will always emerge. But I wonder where Chuanjin is now. I hope he won't be mistakenly hunted as part of the demonic path. Lu Changxing muttered to himself, thinking of his son Lu Chuanjin. His son had been out for over 2 years. According to what Lu Chuanjin had said before, he should now be in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Quanzhen's cultivation technique is indeed a demonic cultivation technique, but it's not the kind that involves killing people for training. He wouldn't do such things. Hopefully he won't be wrongfully labeled as demonic path. Lu Changxing shook his head, thinking so in his mind. At that moment, he remembered that the Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew in his Myriad Spirits bottle should have condensed. He immediately checked and, taking the Myriad Spirits bottle, went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, dropping the Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew onto the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Indeed, with the drop of Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew, the damage on the rhizome of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus finally healed, bringing a smile to Lu Changsheng's eyes. He thought to himself that without the myriad spirits bottle, relying solely on his wife's healing, it might have taken decades, even 100 years of lifespan to heal such damage. By the way, Hong Lian, how many years will it approximately take for the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to advance to the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus? It was then that Lu Changsheng thought of a question and asked Hong Lian. With the myriad spirits bottle, he was confident he could cultivate the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to 4th rank. But since the myriad spirits bottle produced only 1 drop of myriad spirits heaven dew a year, he couldn't possibly wait indefinitely for the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to advance. I am not sure either, but this lotus is about 7 inches broad, its petals crystalline, resembling jade. It should have advanced to Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus long ago. If it grows to 9 inches, it will evolve towards the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. Hong Lian's voice echoed in Lu Changsheng's mind. Although she recognized the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, she only knew this much information on the matter. All right. Lu Changsheng nodded. In his view, it would be best for the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to advance to Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. If it was really impossible for it to advance to the 4th rank Emperor Lotus, this 3rd rank King Lotus would suffice for the time being. At the same time, White Crane Mountain, Luo family. This was a foundation establishment family with 3 foundation establishment cultivators in residence, situated under the governance of Spirit Taming Sect, modestly famous. But because 2 foundation establishment ancestors in the family had simultaneously fallen a few months ago, it led to the family members being anxious and the family forces gradually retracting. That day, a young man wearing a wide-brimmed hat, with a clear and handsome face and narrow eyes, approached near White Crane Mountain. Luo family. The young man, looking at White Crane Mountain enveloped by a great formation, sneered, his smile gradually widening, his narrow eyes filled with murderous intent. Then he took out a set of Spirit Taming Sect disciple robes and put them on, driving a spirit boat to the Luo family's mountain gate. Greetings, senior. When the guarding disciples of the Luo family saw Lu Chuanjun, they immediately bowed and saluted. After all, the foundation establishment's spiritual pressure and the Spirit Taming Sect disciple robes compelled them not to offend him. Summon your Luo family's person in charge. The young man, with an air of superiority, demanded coldly. Please wait a moment, senior. The Luo family's guarding disciple dared not delay and immediately sent a message to notify the family elders. Shortly thereafter, several cultivators hurried over. Our sect received a report that your White Crane Mountain Luo family has colluded with the demonic path. Now all foundation members, the family head, and elders, follow me back for investigation. The young man took out a token and declared loudly. What, colluding with the demonic path? Upon hearing this, the Luo family members all looked at each other in dismay, their expressions drastically changing. Colluding with the demonic path was a major crime. Even if the Luo family had not committed such an act, just cooperating with the investigation would cost them dearly. Chapter 10:15, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. Chapter 10:15, Chapter 361, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. It might not go well, they might bleed a lot, and several people from the family might have to undergo a soul search, affecting their soul cultivation level. Envoy, could there be some misunderstanding here? The Luo family ancestor bowed to Lu Chuanjun and spoke very politely. Are you defying orders? The youth immediately snorted coldly, his foundation establishment's spiritual pressure emanating from him. Although he was only at the first layer of foundation establishment, still weaker than the Luo family ancestor standing before him, his brow radiated a dominating aura, showing no regard for the other. Does the envoy have a decree? Luo family ancestor looked at Lu Chuanjun before him and said in a low voice. The more arrogant and domineering the other party was, the less likely he was to suspect him. After all, the disciples of the Spirit Taming Sect were generally arrogant and proud, to the point of disregard for others. Humph. The youth's eyes were sharp as knives, giving the Luo family ancestor a cold stare. Then, He took out a brocade box from his chest and threw it in front of the mountain gate, saying coldly, "Get out and receive the decree yourself." With a wry smile, Luo family ancestor immediately stepped out of the mountain gate and opened the brocade box before him. However, as soon as the brocade box was opened, a golden light shot towards the Luo family ancestor's forehead, exuding a ferocious and terrifying aura. Not good. The Luo family ancestor realized something was wrong and hastily formed a protective aura. But in front of this golden light, his mana shield was as fragile as tofu and was broken through. Then with a bloody hole appeared on his forehead, his face showing an expression of dying without closing his eyes. Elder Ancestor. Seeing this, the Luo family cultivators from White Crane Mountain immediately cried out in horror. "It's you, you little bastard, you dare to impersonate a disciple of the Supreme Sect." One of the Luo family elders saw the six-winged golden silkworm and recognized the youth's identity, shouting angrily. "I said that if I were to exterminate the Luo family, then I would wipe you all out." This youth was Lu Chuanjun. His eyes were narrow and vicious, and he gave a cold smile to the Luo family cultivators, chilling them to the bone, and even causing a few young members of the Luo family to fall to the ground in fright. "Activate the Great Formation." The Luo family head immediately shouted loudly, attempting to activate the family's Great Formation to kill Lu Chuanjun. However, upon seeing this, Lu Chuanjun simply snatched up the corpse of the Luo family ancestor, and like a peng bird, he turned into an escape light, soaring into the heavens and vanishing without a trace. Although the Luo family no longer had a foundation establishment cultivator to hold the fort, with the protection of the family Great Formation, it was impossible for him to break through alone, so naturally, he wouldn't linger there. Witnessing this scene, anger burned in the hearts of the Luo family cultivators, filled with immense fury. But beyond anger, there was a deep sense of fear and helplessness. Especially the high-ranking members of the Luo family, who were cold from head to toe, their backs drenched in cold sweat. They knew all too well that the two previously fallen family patriarchs had died at the hands of this scourge. What sins has my Luo family committed to offend such a scourge? One of the Luo family elders cried out loudly. Then, overcome by a surge of emotion, he stumbled and fell to the ground. The feud between the Luo family and Lu Chuanjun started over a trivial matter at an auction, where a direct lineage member of the Luo family and Lu Chuanjun contested over a vial of demon beast essence blood, followed by an ambush. Just because of this minor incident, the situation continually escalated, leading ultimately to the deaths of two Foundation Establishment family patriarchs. Now, with the last Foundation Establishment ancestor who presided over the family also dead in the enemy's hands, even if the other party didn't wipe out their Luo family, their White Crane Mountain would become a juicy morsel for other family forces, continuously nibbled away. Half a year later. By Lake Mountain, Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Heavenly Longevity Technique, Refine. Lu Miaohuan, in a black luxurious palace dress, her beauty cold yet dignified, her demeanor majestic, sat cross-legged in front of a sinister and beautiful dark red bloom. She had started cultivating the heavenly longevity technique alongside Chu Zhenjin. However, 5 years ago, Chu Zhenjin had completed the cultivation of the auspicious tree and mastered the heavenly longevity technique. And, with the aid of 2 drops of myriad spirits heaven dew, she quickly broke through to Foundation Establishment, becoming a Foundation Establishment cultivator. Lu Miaohuan said nothing, but there was some dissatisfaction in her heart. After all, among Lu Changsheng's wives, aside from Lu Lanshu, Lu Zier, Lu Qing'er who were unable to cultivate, the others, Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenjin, Ling Zixiao, Zhao Qingqing, were all Foundation Establishment cultivators. She alone, now, was still at the 8th level of energy refinement. How could the strong-willed second young lady feel at ease? Thus, over the years, she had diligently refined the abyssal ghoul blossom, hoping to master the heavenly longevity technique as soon as possible. But the refinement process of the abyssal ghoul blossom was excruciatingly slow. Entirely unlike what Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin had claimed, her progress just wouldn't increase. Fortunately, the progress was slow, but it didn't come to a halt. Moreover, Lu Changxing had always comforted her, asserting that the abyssal ghoul blossom was a few notches more powerful than Lu Miao's luminous treasure tree and Chu Zenshin's auspicious tree. After these years of continuous refinement, she also felt she was about to make this demonic plant her life-bound spiritual root. As Lu Miaohuan refined the abyssal ghoul blossom, their energies mingled, and she became even more enchantingly beautiful. Suddenly, out of nowhere, boom! Lu Miaohuan felt her spiritual power uncontrollably pouring out, devoured by the abyssal ghoul blossom. In the face of this situation, Lu Miaohuan wasn't panicked at all. Her mature and charming face, with the allure of a young matron, broke out into a smile, her lips slightly pursed, radiating charm. She knew that she had finally refined the abyssal ghoul blossom into her life-bound spiritual root. Come, feast to your heart's content today. Lu Miaohuan patted her storage bag lightly with her palm. Instantly, 9 large, ice-bound horses appeared. They were the 9-headed wind thunder steeds belonging to the elder ancestor of the Su family. These 9 steeds were all second-order monster beasts, and in Lu Changsheng's view, they were very suitable for nourishing the abyssal ghoul blossom. Chapter 1016, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan's Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. _4 Chapter 1016, Chapter 361, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan's Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. _4 Lu Miaohuan's refinement of the abyssal ghoul blossom was too slow. During the process, if too much nourishment was provided, it would likely affect the speed of her refinement. Thus, the 9-headed wind thunder steed remained frozen and stored in Lu Miaohuan's storage bag. Having learned from the experiences of Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin, Lu Miaohuan knew that providing sufficient spiritual energy and nourishment to her life-bound spiritual root during the moment of breakthrough would benefit both herself and the root. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The abyssal ghoul blossom swayed, emitting a charming luster. Dark red thorny roots appeared, piercing through the ice and embedding into the flesh and blood of the wind thunder steed. Then, the enchanting flower bud transformed into a terrifying, permeating sight, resembling an abyssal maw that enveloped and swallowed a wind thunder steed. This step was repeated continuously. Seeing the scene before her, Lu Miaohuan's expression remained beautifully cold and calm, unfazed. After all, having tended to her flower for so many years, she had long since become accustomed to such sights. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As each wind thunder steed was devoured by the abyssal ghoul blossom, surges of spiritual mechanism also emerged from the flower, enveloping and protecting Lu Miaohuan. Inside Changxing Hall, Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao heard the commotion, stepped out of the main hall, and looked towards the breakthrough occurring Lu Miaohuan. Ling Zixiao watched Lu Miaohuan with a calm expression, eager to see the effect of her mastering the heavenly longevity technique. After all, she had long noticed that Lu Miaohuan's abyssal ghoul blossom was unlike the life-bound spiritual roots of Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin. Watching her sister enveloped in an exotic, captivating beauty, with the abyssal ghoul blossom next to her like a man-eating flower, devouring wind thunder steeds, Lu Miaoge pursed her lips and her beautiful eyes revealed a touch of concern. Although she was aware of the abyssal ghoul blossom's state, the sight still caused her to inwardly sigh. Not to mention, Jianghu country was currently purging the demonic path. If someone saw her sister's appearance now, they would probably mistake her for a heretic cultivator, a demonic path cultivator. Boom! It wasn't long before Lu Miaohuan's cultivation level directly broke through the 9th level of energy refinement. Her aura was still climbing. While the abyssal ghoul blossom digested the wind thunder steeds and inhaled the dense nature's spiritual energy from Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, it infused a surge of demonic power different from that of Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin into Lu Miaohuan's body. During this time, Lu Changxing heard the news and came to watch the situation alongside Lu Miaoyun and Chu Zhenjin. Sister Huanhuan should be about to directly break through Foundation establishment. Lu Miaoyun softly said, watching Lu Miaohuan before her. She could clearly see that Lu Miaohuan's aura was much more overwhelming and powerful than when she and Chu Zhenjin had their breakthroughs. Not at all inferior to the commotion she had caused at her own Foundation establishment. Emichim. Lu Changxing nodded. He had previously suspected that Lu Miaohuan might break through to Foundation establishment in one go, so he had arranged for the Mount Sumer Tree King to transplant the abyssal ghoul blossom from Lakeheart Island into the cave heaven, just to avoid too much disturbance during the breakthrough. After all, Bai Lake Mountain currently had 5 Foundation establishment cultivators outside: himself, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoyun, and Zhao Qingqing. If a new Foundation establishment cultivator were to appear every few years, it would be quite astonishing indeed. Moreover, many had speculated that Lu Muping's Foundation establishment breakthrough was related to Bai Lake Mountain. Therefore, Lu Changxing wasn't planning to hold any ceremony for the current breakthroughs at home, keeping a low-profile development approach. Just like that, the disturbance continued. 3 days later, Lu Miaohuan began her Foundation establishment breakthrough. 10 days later, Lu Miaohuan successfully broke through Foundation establishment. However, what was surprising was that after her Foundation establishment, the energy within her had not ceased. It continued for half a month, elevating her cultivation level from the first layer of Foundation establishment directly to the 3rd layer before calming down. Congratulations to my dear Huan for mastering the heavenly longevity technique, breaking through Foundation establishment, becoming a Foundation establishment great cultivator, and the prospect of achieving golden core nascent soul is just around the corner. Lu Changxing had been closely monitoring his wife's condition these days. Now seeing her finally complete her breakthrough, he was the first to step forward, offering warm congratulations with a chuckle. After her Foundation establishment breakthrough, there was a significant change in Lu Miaohuan. Not only did she look much younger and more beautiful, appearing as if she were in her late 20s, but her entire body also exuded an enigmatic allure. Her dark hair was deeper and black, with strands reflecting bits of dark red luster, which complemented her pale jade-like skin nicely. Her pupils also shone with a dark red beautiful luster, giving her a unique charm. Her nose was high and defined, her lips bewitching, as if touched with fresh blood, vividly enticing. This appearance made Lu Changxing think she resembled a darkly made-up female boss from TV shows. All that was missing was some eyeshadow. Even in Lu Changxing's eyes, Lu Miaohuan's tall and slender graceful posture seemed even more enchanting, constantly radiating captivating charm. Huan, congratulations. Congratulations, Sister Huan, on breaking through Foundation establishment. Wow, Sister Huan, you look so beautiful. Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoyun, and Chu Zhenjin all spoke up, congratulating Lu Miaohuan. Thank you, husband, sister Zixiao, Miaoyun, and Zhenjin. Lu Miaohuan stood up, her face bright with a joyous smile. Her breakthrough to Foundation establishment had swept away the gloom from her mind. After a brief chat, Chu Zhenjin asked Lu Miaohuan what abilities she had gained. For example, after Lu Miaohuan's Foundation establishment breakthrough, she had condensed a Tao Foundation seed called the Luminous Eye, which could penetrate illusions and related techniques. When Chu Zhenjin broke through Foundation establishment, her Tao Foundation seed called Universal Illumination of Buddhist Chants could calm the spirit and suppress heart demons. My Tao Foundation seed's ability is blood essence extraction. It allows me to convert blood essence into life essence through the abyssal ghoul blossom, which is vitality, which means lifespan. Chapter 1017, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. _5 Chapter 1017, Chapter 361, Yin Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. _5 Lu Miaohuan paused, then softly shared the ability of her Dao Foundation seed. Although she always knew that the abyssal ghoul blossom wasn't considered an orthodox demonic plant, this ability still made her feel it was a bit too aligned with the demon path. Using the abyssal ghoul blossom to devour living beings, thereby plundering the essence of their flesh and blood to transform into pure life essence, supplementing her own lifespan. Supplement lifespan with blood essence? Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao, among others, were surprised when they heard of this ability. In the cultivation world, the importance of lifespan goes without saying. With lifespan comes a future, and moreover, 90% of cultivators encounter life-threatening challenges throughout their journey, such as combat, failure during breakthroughs, cultivating deviations, or casting life-shortening powerful techniques and magics that consume their own lifespan. Take energy refining cultivators, for instance, whose lifespan is typically about 120 years. However, apart from a very few who practice nourishing life techniques, hardly anyone lives to that age. The same principle applies to foundation establishment. Therefore, heavenly and earthly treasures and elixir medicines related to lifespan extension are exorbitantly priced and extremely rare. Yet here was Lu Miaohuan with the ability to extend lifespan by devouring the life force of other beings, which was quite astonishing. However, this lifespan supplementation could only restore what was specially depleted, not enhance the upper limit. This is still quite impressive. It's like Huan, you can practice life-shortening techniques with no consequence, being able to replenish it afterward. Ling Zixiao said this. But after saying so, she thought about the side effects of the heavenly longevity technique, being bound to by Lake Mountain, rejecting other cultivation methods, and instinctively shook her head. After all, if one couldn't leave by Lake Mountain and couldn't practice life-shortening secret techniques, what good was the ability to replenish one's lifespan? No worries, abilities like that don't matter. Lu Changxing spoke out, seemingly unconcerned about this ability. He had already realized with Lu Miao's luminous eye that no matter how beneficial the Tao Foundation seed condensed by the heavenly longevity technique appeared, if one's freedom was restricted, the abilities would become useless. However, he did think of his book of malevolent curses and fates, which had been collecting dust. If needed in the future, he could let Lu Miaohuan use it. After all, combined with the longevity of the heavenly longevity technique and the ability to replenish lifespan, it'd be a perfect match. The book of malevolent curses and fates, however, was a one-time use exotic treasure. Once used, it would be gone. If he later acquired treasures that could curse without limits, those would indeed be quite suitable for Lu Miaohuan. Thereafter, regarding Lu Miaohuan's breakthrough, Lu Changxing hosted a family banquet to celebrate modestly with his household. However, afterward, he instructed Lu Yun to go to Qingzhou Mountain and inform his father-in-law, Lu Yuanding. After all, he felt it necessary to share such news, which would surely bring joy. That night, Lu Changxing, together with Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan, engaged in dual cultivation. Throughout this process, he became increasingly motivated. Knowing that this was due to Lu Miaohuan's Tao Foundation seed's ability, replenishing his physical strength and life essence during their dual cultivation. 2 months later. Congratulations to the host, 50 offspring have completed channeling qi into the body, stepping onto the immortal path, earning bloodline effect, offspring's comprehension increased by 3%, and 1 lottery draw. Comprehension increased? Upon hearing this system notification, Lu Changsheng's heart skipped a beat. Initially, he gained the bloodline effect of increasing the probability of children's spiritual roots and pregnancy rates. Previously, a spiritual body inheritance probability appeared, and now there was an increase in comprehension. In the cultivation world, comprehension is a broad and mysterious concept. Whether it's cultivation techniques, magic, the 100 arts of cultivation, or anything else, everything is linked with comprehension. Anyway, any boost to comprehension is a good thing. If comprehension could be improved, then the kids at home would basically all be able to practice top-level techniques. Lu Changxing murmured to himself. Most of the current advanced techniques were entrusted to Lu Miaoyan to manage the family's transmission pavilion. Due to talent and comprehension, most siblings at home are still practicing exquisite-level cultivation techniques. It wasn't that he, their father, was unwilling to teach them. Unless one's comprehension was truly exceptional and they could thoroughly understand and resonate with a technique, low-quality spiritual root bearers could scarcely proceed with peripheral sect-level or orthodox-level cultivation techniques, which would make their practice laborious and ineffective compared to practicing an advanced-level or exquisite-level technique. Birth rate, comprehension, spiritual body inheritance. I wonder what other bloodline effects there might be, Lu Changxing pondered, feeling that if this trend continued, his children would become increasingly exceptional. However, thinking of this situation, somewhat like the younger children standing on the shoulders of the older ones, Lu Changxing sighed. He silently invoked in his mind, system, lottery draw. Instantly, a spinning prize will appeared, glistening with golden light. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a third-order artifact refinement skill. The reward has been issued to the system space. the host can check it at any time. A talisman-shaped orb of light emerged from the prize wheel, accompanied by the sound of the system's voice. What, third-order artifact refinement? Lu Changxing looked at the artifact skill before him with a pleasant surprise. Although the family had many artifact refiners, they were merely ordinary, not even a second-rank artifact refiner was among them. To create a spiritual artifact for Lu Pingan, his father had to seek help from others. Now, with the third-order artifact refinement skill, the family's shortcoming in artifact refining would finally be addressed. Lu Changsheng's mental spirit stirred slightly as he turned his attention to the system space. Third-order artifact refinement skill, upon use, directly comprehend third-order maxed-out artifact refining skills and a complete basic compendium of magic artifacts. Chapter 1018, Artifact Refining Concept, Another Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. Chapter 1018, Chapter 362, Artifact Refining Concept, Another Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. Use it. Lu Changxing activated the third-order artifact refinement skill from the system space. Instantly, knowledge about artifact refining flooded into his mind like a tide. Basics of artifact refining, foundry craftsmanship, techniques, divine skills, natural qi and materials, principles of design for magic artifacts, spiritual artifacts, and magical treasures. After a long while. Artifact refining, Lu Changxing slowly opened his eyes, digesting the knowledge on artifact refining in his mind. It had to be said that this third-order artifact refinement skill was quite profound. It had not only provided him with a wealth of knowledge on artifact refining, but also deepened his understanding of magic and spiritual artifacts, and magical treasures. In the future, he could even deduce some potential weaknesses and flaws in an opponent's life-bound magic treasure based on its use, thereby devising targeted strategies. Furthermore, when crafting his own life-bound magic treasure in the future, he could make adjustments based on the original design, incorporating many of his own concepts, making the magic treasure more suited to himself. After all, whether it was cultivation techniques or magic treasures, they could be used by anyone. But if something was custom-made and perfectly suited, the effect would inevitably be several times better. This path of artifact refining holds some similarities to puppet skills, with a touch of ingeniously shared wisdom between disparate branches. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, feeling that there were many similarities between the principles of artifact refining and puppet crafting. If there was a distinction, it was that artifact refining leaned toward the control of mana, maximizing power and effect in a cultivator's hands. On the other hand, puppets were more about functionality. They didn't require much consideration of a cultivator's techniques or mana, and the inscribing of runes on them was much more intricate and complex. Now that he had acquired the third-order artifact refining skill, Lu Changxing felt that if he could settle down and thoroughly study it, there might be hope of advancing his puppet skills to the third rank. However, at the moment, Lu Changxing wasn't greatly interested in third-order puppet skills. Rather, his interest in industrialization had been rekindled, along with new ideas. Years ago, after acquiring puppet skills, Lu Changxing had the idea of a puppet factory with an assembly line. Decades had passed, and the puppet workshop at By Lake Mountain had initially realized assembly line craftsmanship. But this workshop was still far from his original vision. In his initial concept, there was not only a manual assembly line but also puppet automation. Some puppet components and parts would be crafted by puppets. Even constructing several large-scale puppets, akin to CNC machine tools with artificial intelligence. But as beautiful as the imagination was, reality was harsh. The difficulty of construction was one thing, but what really hindered Lu Changxing was not a matter of craftsmanship, but the cost of construction, daily consumption, and subsequent maintenance expenses. Second-rank puppets running for long periods required the consumption of middle-grade spirit stones, or even superior-grade spirit stones. Naturally, their efficiency was slightly higher than that of energy-refining cultivators. But in the cultivation world, other things might be scarce, but there was no shortage of cultivators. A puppet apprentice at By Lake Mountain earned less than 10 low-quality spirit stones a month in wages. Even due to the reputation and goodwill of By Lake Mountain, countless cultivators were willing to sign indenture contracts for the chance to learn a trade and have a backer, as long as they were provided with food and accommodation. Under such circumstances, relying on puppet automation was simply a losing business. The emergence of the 1,000 Faces puppet fox, which required no daily consumption or subsequent maintenance, could potentially realize Lu Chengsheng's idea of automation. But he was currently unable to craft such third-order puppets, and the cost was too high to consider. After all, to make a profit from crafting puppets using the 1,000 Faces puppet fox, it might take hundreds of years just to break even. But now, having obtained the third-order artifact refinement skill, Lu Chengsheng suddenly had many new ideas. While full-scale industrialization might not be feasible, partial industrialization was certainly possible. For example, whether it was artifact refining, alchemy, talisman making, or puppets, there was one tedious step in common: the processing of raw materials. The materials for artifacts and puppets were mainly metal spirit ores, which required cultivators to spend a great deal of time refining, purging them of impurities. The only issue in the process of refining spirit ores is the purging of impurities without losing the inherent spiritual essence. If I could construct a spiritual power furnace that automatically purges impurities and locks in the spiritual essence, I could omit the manual refining step entirely, saving a significant amount of time. Lu Chengsheng's eyes narrowed as he began to ponder and calculate in his mind to see if he could make this idea a reality. After all, cost was always a concern. If the spiritual power furnace turned out to be too costly to operate, then it would be pointless. This spiritual power furnace could operate like an earth fire array, tapping into earth fire, linking up with spirit veins, so that it wouldn't rely on spirit stones for power, just the construction and maintenance costs of the magic furnace. Right, I also need to consider the ease of operation because this kind of spiritual power furnace must be controllable by an energy refining cultivator. Lu Chengsheng continued to think about the feasibility. After some time, Lu Chengsheng felt this idea was worth a try. Not only for making money, but also because he had felt for years that the purely manual production methods of the cultivation world were incredibly inefficient. As a transmigrator, he felt compelled to do something, like initiate an industrial revolution. By exploiting the price scissors effect, he could give the artisans still stuck in primitive workshops of the cultivation world a little shock. 3 months later. Puppet workshop. Lu Chengsheng looked at the furnace in front of him, a full 10 feet tall and clad in red copper with runes all over, and showed a satisfied expression. Then he turned to Lu Xianji beside him and said, "Xianji, give it a try." "Yes, father." Lu Xianji, in a loose long robe with a mustache on his lip corners and a calm face, nodded in response. He stepped forward and embedded 9 middle-grade spirit stones into the earth fire mouth, then made the gesture incantations, igniting the earth fire array connected with the furnace. The roaring earth fire began to burn. Chapter 1019, Artifact Refining Concept, Another Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. Chapter 1019, Chapter 362, Artifact Refining Concept, Another Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. Wum wum wum. The red copper melting furnace began to tremble, its spiritual patterns gleaming with a red luster, their sound growing louder until they rumbled mightily. Open. Lu Xianji, continuing his gesture incantations, let out a light shout and opened the feed port of the furnace, unleashing a layer of rolling thermal waves. He then slapped his storage bag and dozens of pieces of Kuei essence or flew into the red copper melting furnace. Bang! The lid of the feed port closed with a booming sound as the temperature within the furnace continued to rise. Lu Chengsheng observed the situation inside the furnace with his divine sense. He could clearly see the Kuei essence or melting into molten iron, its impurities dissipating, while its spirit nature was burnt yet tightly locked within by the inscriptions of the furnace. After a long while, the furnace roared and flashed a golden spiritual light. Seeing this, Lu Xianji quickly formed gesture incantations with both hands and cast a spell towards the furnace. The discharge port of the red copper melting furnace swung open, and a wave of heat flooded out, raising the temperature of the grand hall. Blob after blob of purified Kuei essence iron juice flowed out, exhibiting a dark, spiritual gleam, then rapidly solidified. "Father, this Kuei essence has been refined very cleanly. It is just that some of the spiritual essence is not entirely even. If it is to be used for crafting magic artifacts or puppet parts, it might require some additional processing," Lu Xianxia said after inspecting the solidified iron and speaking up. All right, I think I know what the issue is, Lu Changxing nodded. He had observed the entire process and had already spotted some issues. How do you find the performance of this melting spirit furnace? Lu Changxing continued to inquire. The efficiency is very high, but it cannot separately melt different types of spirit ores, Lu Xianxia replied. Moreover, melting too little spirit ore and continually operating for extended periods would be a loss, Lu Xianxia added. Lu Changxing nodded, also realizing these issues. The melting spirit furnace he had casted was approximately a top-grade spiritual tool. Excluding his labor costs, just the material expenses amounted to over 10,000 spirit stones. With so much time and effort invested and the high cost, the resulting efficiency was seen as quite a failure in Lu Changsheng's eyes. Father, currently we have several stable spirit mines in White Tiger Mountain. As long as we transport these spirit ores here for unified melting, we will be able to significantly reduce the cost and greatly improve efficiency, Lu Xianxia continued. Moreover, once the scale of our family's workshop expands further in the future, the effect of this melting spirit furnace will also greatly enhance, Lu Xianxia added. While Lu Xianxia thought the furnace's performance was mediocre, somewhat lacking in utility, he naturally didn't want to dampen his father's spirits since he had invested so much time and thought into it. Alright, when I have time later, I'll work on improving it. You can see in the meantime if there are any other issues that need to be addressed, said Lu Changxing a bit listlessly as he exited the puppet workshop. At this moment, he further understood how difficult it was to industrialize the cultivation world. Even as a third-order top-tier artifact refiner like himself, crafting a melting spirit furnace for just first and second-rank spirit ores was so troublesome. To keep optimizing and improving while spending time and effort for a result that only increased efficiency and saved a bit in labor costs. With the time and energy, whether in alchemy, artifact refining, or talisman making, he would earn much more. For Lu Changxing, this could only be seen as a hobby of pure interest, not wholly measurable by profit. Yes, father, Lu Xianxia nodded in agreement. After watching Lu Changxing leave, he stood silently, gazing at the melting spirit furnace before him, unable to help but admire his father's creativity and hands-on abilities. If the puppet workshop could increase its foundation tenfold from now and have a continual supply of spirit ores, then the efficiency of this melting spirit furnace could probably be realized, Lu Xianxia murmured. Although Bihu Lake Mountain's puppet workshop was doing well, its reach was limited to the surrounding area without further expansion. Consequently, the workshop hadn't grown much in size over the years, it had mainly increased the variety of puppets and the production of advanced puppets. But the demand for puppets was only so high. Unless they could expand the business throughout the entire Qingyun region and even the Jianghu country cultivation realm, only then could the effectiveness of a melting spirit furnace like this truly come into play. To expand the family business across the entire Qingyun region, the Jianghu country cultivation realm is not without hope. I just wonder if I will live to see that day, Lu Xianxia thought of his father, the several aunts at home, and his siblings, Lu Qingshan, Lu Chuanjun, and Lu Wangshu. With them, the family would most likely advance further, eventually becoming a top-tier family in the Qingyun region or even a nascent Soul Great Clan. However, with his 9th-grade spiritual root, this life was destined to be without foundation establishment. He didn't know if he would witness that day. I may not see it, but Xuanyu will definitely witness it in the future, mused Lu Xianxia, his face lighting up with a smile. He had a total of 4 children. His second son, Lu Xuanyu, although only possessing a 7th-grade spiritual root, had much greater talent in puppetry than his father. He had the potential to become a second-order puppeteer and perhaps would see the family reach that milestone. Time flew quickly, and in the blink of an eye, more than half a year passed. After such persistent cultivation, Xia Zhiyue finally started her attempt at foundation establishment. For Xia Zhiyue, Lu Changxing had also taken her to the Mount Sumeru cave heaven for her breakthrough. After all, she had followed him for over 30 years, had only a younger brother outside, and he trusted her greatly. Is this about to fail? Lu Changxing looked at Xia Zhiyue, who was in the midst of her breakthrough, with a slight frown. With so many in his household having undertaken foundation establishment, he was all too familiar with the process. He keenly sensed that Xia Zhiyue was running out of steam and on the verge of failure. Chapter 1020, Artifact Refining Concept, Another Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. Chapter 1020, Chapter 362, Artifact Refining Concept, Another Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. However, when I think about it, Xia Zhiyue is only a 7th grade spiritual root and hasn't undergone much tempering. With an average disposition, it's normal for her to fail her breakthrough. After all, consuming a foundation establishment elixir only increases the probability of breakthrough, not guaranteeing it 100%. Fortunately, I was prepared in advance. Naturally, Lu Changxing would not allow Xia Ziyu's breakthrough to fail. He acted as her protector to prevent any mishaps during her breakthrough process. He immediately stepped forward, took her in his arms, and whispered, "Zhiyue, calm your mind, I will help you with your foundation establishment." Xia Zhiyue, who was striving to break through to foundation establishment, felt her lips captured and her body softened with weakness, instinctively raising her jade arms to wrap around Lu Changsheng's neck upon hearing his words. Soon after, with rustling sounds, 2 silhouettes merged, and soft, crisp cries filled the air. As Lu Changxing continued to cultivate the inverted phoenix reversal technique, he infused his mana and the yin-yang energies into Xia Zhiyue. The Dao foundation that initially lacked momentum for solidification continued to coalesce, slowly rising from Elixir Lake. However, due to the forced solidification by external forces, one could see that the entire Dao foundation was filled with dense cracks, resembling a shattered jade disc. This was indeed the lowest tier of Dao foundations, the bedrock shatter. Yet, despite being a bedrock shatter, Xia Zhiyue successfully completed her foundation establishment under such circumstances. "Thank you, my husband." After a while, Xia Zhiyue, with a flush on her face and charm in her eyes, spoke to Lu Changxing, her voice trembling. Other cultivators would be in an unprecedentedly good condition immediately after their foundation establishment, filled with strength. But Xia Ziyu's breakout process was unlike ordinary people. Not only did she have to endure the surge of nature's spiritual energy, but she also had to withstand the impact from Lu Changxing. Moreover, during this process, she had to concentrate on solidifying her Dao foundation in coordination with Lu Changxing, leaving her completely exhausted in body and spirit, not wanting to move even a finger. "It's all right, you should rest well." Lu Changxing spoke gently. He found the sensation of dual cultivation during her foundation establishment to be quite unique. Xia Zhiyue replied softly, quietly experiencing the transformation of breaking through her Dao foundation. Although it was only the solidification of the worst bedrock shatter, it was still a transformation that was both elevating and purifying. At this moment, Xia Zhiyue felt as if she were dreaming. She could not have imagined that one day, she would actually be able to succeed in foundation establishment. "Dad, your daughter has broken through to foundation establishment," Xia Zhiyue softly murmured, thinking of her father. She remembered how, since childhood, her father's greatest wish was to break through to foundation establishment one day. He hoped that both she and her brother would also be able to achieve foundation establishment to become esteemed foundation establishment great cultivators. Back then, it was just a father's wishful thinking, a wish for his children to succeed, almost impossible to fulfill. But now, she seemed to have fulfilled her father's dream. Not long ago, her brother Xia Zhaoyang had written to her, saying he had gathered enough foundation establishment elixirs and foundation establishment spiritual objects, and was preparing to attempt foundation establishment soon. Unlike her, he had a 4th grade spiritual root and was a disciple of the Immortal sects. Moreover, over the years, he had managed to accumulate foundation establishment elixirs and spiritual objects due to his own efforts, making it very likely for him to succeed in foundation establishment. I wonder what Ziyang's expression would be if he knew I achieved foundation establishment before him. Xia Zhiyue thought of her brother Xia Zhaoyang, a hint of amusement appearing in her eyes. Half a month later. Shiyu's here? Lu Changxing was instructing his daughter Lu Wangshu in her cultivation when he suddenly felt something and produced a yin-yang sensing talisman in his hand. He knew that Xiaoxia had arrived at Bai Lake Mountain. He immediately took his daughter Lu Wangshu to meet Xiaoxia. When the three met, they shared joyful greetings and went straight back to Baiyun Peak. Lu Changxing inquired about whether Xiaoxia's trip was related to an end to the matters concerning Luoyun mountain range. Years ago, when he took Lu Wangshu to the Luoyun mountain range, Xiaoxia had estimated that the secret realm would end in about half a year, yet she had only returned now. Something unexpected happened in the secret realm. Xiaoxia responded softly. She explained that demonic path cultivators had appeared in the secret realm, causing delays. It was also because of this matter that Qingyun sect issued a demon subjugation order, and the ownership of the secret realm was shared with Heavenly Sword sect, Wuxia sect, and Spirit Taming sect. Demonic path cultivators appeared in the secret realm, and because of this, Qingyun sect issued a demon subjugation command? Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, thought of the demonic path nascent soul he had blasted away and paused in contemplation. Xiaoxia nodded lightly and took out several jade boxes from her storage bag for her daughter. Wangshu, these are gifts from your mother. Then, she handed one jade box to Lu Changxing. Changxing, I've also brought you a gift. Oh, I have one too. Lu Changxing's eyebrows raised slightly, a hint of a smile appeared on his face. He hadn't expected Xiaoxia to have prepared gifts for both her daughter Lu Wangshu and him. He opened the jade box. Inside, there lay a 3-inch tall, crystalline blue-white lotus. The heavenly origin precious lotus. Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly in surprise upon seeing the lotus. The lotus before him was about 3 inches wide, with crystal-clear petals, tinted in blue and white. Based on what Hong Lian had previously told him, he recognized it as the heavenly origin precious lotus. The nearby Lu Wangshu also found the heavenly origin precious lotus a bit familiar. It somewhat resembled the lotus she had seen when her father had harvested it from the 9 Heavens Gang wind layer. However, this particular lotus was nowhere near as large or as beautiful as the one her father had. Do you recognize it, Changxing? Xiaoxia was somewhat taken aback. With a soft gaze and a smile, she said, I know you have been looking for spiritual spring objects and collecting spiritual origin pearls. This time in the secret realm, when I learned that planting this heavenly origin precious lotus would yield the effects of a spiritual origin pearl, I exchanged for one. Xiaoxia said this. Shiyu, come with me. Lu Changxing let out a breath and spoke to Xiaoxia. Based on her words and the appearance of the heavenly origin precious lotus, he had already surmised a rough idea about the affair with Black Crow True Immortal. He even guessed what might have happened in the secret realm. Chapter 1021, Lu Pingon breaks through foundation establishment, the meaning of cultivation. Chapter 1021, Chapter 363, Lu Pingon breaks through foundation establishment, the meaning of cultivation. This is, the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Xiaoxia arrived at Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and looking at the lotus in the spiritual spring, which was crystal clear and had a jade-like luster, she couldn't help but exclaim. She looked at Lu Changxing with suspicion in her beautiful eyes, wondering what was going on. Although there was definitely more than one Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus in the cultivation world, the lotus before them, in terms of age and size, closely resembled the one taken from the Tianyuan secret realm by Black Crow True Immortal. At this moment, Lu Changxing bringing her to the cave heaven made her suspect that this was the very lotus taken by Black Crow True Immortal. But this lotus was clearly taken by Black Crow True Immortal, neither her senior sister nor the Supreme Elders had managed to retrieve it, so how could it appear in Lu Changxing's possession? It seems that this Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus indeed came from the secret realm you were exploring, Shiyu. Lu Changxing remarked with emotion. He hadn't expected that the spiritual object he had acquired inadvertently had actually come from the secret realm Xiaoxia had been busy with all these years. Immediately, he explained the details about the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to Xiaoxia. Upon hearing that her daughter had been captured by Black Crow True Immortal, Xiaoxia felt a chill of fear and looked at her daughter with concern. Wangshu, are you all right? Mother, I have been fine for a long time. Lu Wangshu responded in such a manner. Then, with a face full of fear and grievance, she said, luckily, father arrived in time, that nasty old man. Wangshu, hearing this, Xiaoxia immediately embraced her daughter, feeling guilty and heartbroken. She hadn't expected her daughter to encounter such life-threatening danger while she was away. But this news also amazed her immensely. Lu Changxing had actually killed Black Crow True Immortal. It was known that this Black Crow True Immortal was no ordinary being. He came from a dominant power in the cultivation world of Liang Country, Beast God Mountain. Although he was only at the initial stage of core formation, he was an experienced core formation cultivator and his combat power was formidable. Especially in escaping, he was unmatched. This Devil Path True person was heavily injured at the time, and I seized the chance to slay him when he was unprepared. Seeing Xiaoxia's puzzled look, Lu Changxing explained. Changxing, Wang Shu, you must not let anyone else know about this. Xiaoxia immediately instructed them seriously. Now that the matter of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus had been settled, with Qingyun's sect believing that some major power was involved, if Qingyun's sect knew that Black Crow True Immortal was slain by Lu Changxing, it would surely bring endless troubles and draw the attention of the four great immortal sects of Jianghu country. I understand. Lu Changxing naturally did. He shared the information about the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus with Xiaoxia because he trusted her and through her, aimed to gain understanding of the matters at hand. Afterward, Xiaoxia disclosed the news about Black Crow True Immortal. Black Crow True Immortal, Beast God Mountain. Lu Changsheng's eyebrows rose slightly. He had heard about the Beast God Mountain force in his early years. The sect mainly practiced beast taming, but unlike the spirit taming sect or the beast taming Su family, it focused on integrating demon beasts into one's body and cultivating through them. The specifics, however, were unclear to Lu Changxing. Liang country is so far from Jianghu country, why would Black Crow True Immortal travel all the way here and appear in the Luoyun mountain range secret realm? Lu Changxing found it strange. Liang country was bordered by Yu country and Wu country, forming a tripartite stand. Although travel for nascent soul immortals was convenient, the journey from Liang country to Jianghu country was still extremely long. This, I'm not sure, it might be related to the wars between Yu country and Liang country. Xiaoxia shook her head. Although she was almost involved in the high ranks of Qingyun sect, she was after all still a foundation establishment cultivator and could not know much about the matters at the nascent soul level. Lu Changxing nodded, then turned his attention to Xiaoxia's condition. Xiaoxia mentioned that she had gained quite a lot from this trip to the secret realm and would spend the next period in closed-door cultivation at the sect. If Lu Changxing had any matters, he could find her at Qingyun sect. As for the Tianyuan secret realm, due to the issue with Black Crow True Immortal, it was now controlled jointly by the four great immortal sects, and she was unclear about the specific arrangements. Xiu, can you still get the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus? Lu Changxing asked Xiaoxia. The Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, though average in effect, once elevated to the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, its value and effects were entirely different. It could not only serve as the treasure of spiritual springs, the treasure of the void, and a second Dantian, but it could also be used to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique. Having learned that the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus came from the Luoyun mountain range secret realm, Lu Changxing naturally wanted to know if Xiaoxia could bring back some more. After all, with the myriad spirits bottle, given enough time, he could cultivate multiple Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus plants. Later, with the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, the spiritual energy in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven could directly reach the third rank. Even possibly, in the future, every genius in his family could have their own second Dantian. Changxing, do you need the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus? Xiaoxia was surprised. Lu Changxing now already had a Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, which would completely make the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus unnecessary. Although the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus had effects similar to those of the spiritual origin pearl, its cost-effectiveness was completely incomparable. She would give the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to Lu Changxing as a gift, solely because it had nice effects and could be kept in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven as a decoration. Yes, I have an exotic treasure that accelerates the growth of spirit plants. So I was thinking of trying to cultivate a few Tianyuan Supreme King Lotuses. Lu Changxing said with a light laugh, candidly. Although the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus is easy to keep alive, it grows very slowly, to advance to Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus would take at least a few thousand years, Xiaoxia said softly. Qingyun's sect had not harvested the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus initially because the Tianyuan secret realm was extremely suited for its growth. Once transplanted and harvested, allowing the treasure lotus to continue growing would be difficult. Hee, I'll just give it a try. Lu Changxing laughed. If it's too troublesome, then never mind. The secret realm is now under the control of the 4 great immortal sects. I'll ask my senior sister about the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus later, to see if it's possible to exchange it for contributions. Chapter 1022, Lu Pingan breaks through foundation establishment, the meaning of cultivation. Chapter 1022, Chapter 363, Lu Pingan breaks through foundation establishment, the meaning of cultivation. Xiao Shiyu fell into a slight reverie before speaking. Shiyu, it's okay, don't force yourself. Lu Changxing spoke up. Knowing about the heavenly origin precious lotus, Xiao Shiyu would find it difficult to obtain. Xiao Shiyu stayed at Bai Lake Mountain for a month before returning to Qingyun sect. During this time, aside from spending time with her daughter, Lu Wangshu, she practiced the Sun-Moon Samsara technique while playing music with Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing also tried to have Xiao Shiyu and Lu Miaoga cultivate the Sun-Moon Samsara technique with him. As for Ling Zixiao, Xiao Shiyu and Ling Zixiao were not yet familiar with each other. Thus, they could only proceed slowly and gradually. Otherwise, Lu Changxing thought that since Xiao Shiyu had a moonlight spirit body and Ling Zixiao a dragon roar physique, their dual cultivation would certainly be effective. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. One day, Lu Changxing came to the Lu family mansion and saw his daughter, Lu Lingyi, practicing her punches and kicks in the backyard. Though she looked adorable with her carved doll-like features and twin buns, her punches and kicks were executed with a vigorous flair. Yet, her immature shouts scattered that aura. Xiaohe, what are you doing? Lu Changxing couldn't help but smile at his daughter's adorable antics. Daddy, this is the bull demon great strength fist I learned today. Lu Lingyi crisply said, striking a pose. She was already of the age to attend school. She had become very interested in martial arts after seeing some at the school recently. Oh, the bull demon great strength fist, come on, let daddy see how well you've learned. Lu Changxing chuckled and gestured for her to come closer. Daddy, take this punch, hey. Lu Lingyi shouted loudly and aimed a flying kick at her father. Yet, before she even reached Lu Changxing, she fell down with a plop. Lu Changxing? He had actually thought his daughter had learned something. This one doesn't count. Lu Lingyi didn't cry or fuss but stubbornly got up quickly, wrinkled her nose, looked up, and said. Then she shouted, hey yo, and charged toward Lu Changxing again, shouting, bull demon head chomp. Lu Changxing twitched the corner of his mouth and raised his hand to hold back his daughter's forehead. Bull demon head chomp. Bull demon hoof stomp. Lu Lingyi stubbornly pushed forward, swinging her little fists wildly but could not touch Lu Changxing at all. Sigh. Lu Changxing shook his head, then picked up his daughter and said, all right, it's time to eat. Is it mealtime already? Lu Lingyi showed a happy smile, slightly out of breath, and holding her father's hand she said, Daddy, when I've eaten and grown up, I'll be able to punch you. All right, eat a lot then. Lu Changxing rubbed his daughter's hair bun. Okay, I'll eat 3 bowls. And I finished the candy you gave me too. Lu Lingyi continued. Good, Daddy will give you another jar later. Lu Changxing said indulgently. Time swiftly passed, and a year went by with winter yielding to spring. The vigorous demon subjugation order in the Jianghu country cultivation realm was gradually coming to an end. During this period, many demonic and robber cultivators were struck down. But this also led to many demonic and robber cultivators retaliating against marketplaces and family forces, plundering them. Red Leaf Valley Market had been attacked by demonic cultivators half a year ago, leaving Lu Yuanzhong severely injured. If not for the talismans given by Lu Changxing, Lu Yuanzhong might have died there. Thus, in the following time, Lu Miaoga also went to Red Leaf Valley Market to maintain order, to prevent any miscreants from causing trouble. In those times, Bai Lake Mountain was very peaceful, with no incidents occurring. As usual, Lu Changxing conducted alchemy, talisman making, artifact refining, and spent time with his wives and children. In this year, Lu Changxing only had 3 more children. But the third generation of the Lu family had already unknowingly surpassed 400 members. Yet the system had not granted any subsidiary money. It is worth mentioning that not long ago, Xia Ziyu's brother, Xia Zhaoyang, achieved foundation establishment. He came to Bai Lake Mountain to pay his respects and invited Lu Changxing and her sister to Qingyun's sect to join in his minor celebration. When they arrived at Qingyun's sect for the celebration, Lu Changxing and Xia Ziyue learned news. Xia Zhaoyang, due to his commendable performance during the demon subjugation missions, caught the eye of a false core elder of the enforcement hall. With this breakthrough in foundation establishment, he became an executor in the enforcement hall. Although just a junior executor, it was still a significant position. His future status in Qingyun's sect would be much higher than that of cultivators like Xiao Qingqing. Afterward, Lu Changxing accompanied the siblings to pay homage to their father, Xia Long. Dad, my husband has been very good to me, and now both Xiaoyang and I have achieved foundation establishment. You can rest in peace. Xia Ziyue and Xia Zhaoyang knelt before their father's tombstone. Xia Long, coming from a loose cultivator background, now had both children achieve foundation establishment. Indeed, he could rest in peace. After all, such a feat, let alone in a loose cultivator, even in an energy refining family, it would be considered as the ancestral grave emitting a bluish smoke. When Lu Changxing and Xia Ziyue returned to Bai Lake Mountain, they received a message from their son, Lu Pingan. He shared that he had reached perfected qi refinement and was ready for foundation establishment. Normally, given Lu Pingan's cultivation speed, he should have reached perfection long ago. But due to switching to practice the Black Dragon Codex, anchoring in White Tiger Mountain, and strengthening his foundation, quite some time was consumed. Zi Shao, Pingan has sent a letter preparing for foundation establishment, so you will need to head to White Tiger Mountain to hold the fort for the time being. Having read the letter, Lu Changxing found Ling Zixiao and spoke. Now as the demon subjugation order neared its end, they still couldn't neglect the issues caused by demonic and robber cultivators. Previously with Lu Pingan and the 9 Netherhound holding the fort, he had been very reassured. But now that Lu Pingan would return to Bai Lake Mountain for foundation establishment, someone naturally needed to hold the fort at White Tiger Mountain. Chapter 1023, Lu Pingan's Breakthrough in Foundation Establishment, The Meaning of Cultivation. Chapter 1023, Chapter 363, Lu Pingan's Breakthrough in Foundation Establishment, The Meaning of Cultivation. All right. Ling Zixiao nodded in agreement after hearing this. Although there were quite a few foundation establishment cultivators at home, Lu Miaoge was presiding over the Red Leaf Valley market now. Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, and Chu Zhenjin could not leave. Li Xingrua, Xia Zizhu, and Bai Ling were not adept at fighting techniques, so she alone had to head to White Tiger Mountain. Soon after, Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao went together to White Tiger Mountain. As for the Bai Lake Mountain side, Lu Changxing was rather at ease. After all, with so many foundation establishment cultivators at home and the Mount Summer Tree King overseeing, he could rush back in case of any emergency. Father, aunt, Lu Pingan, Lu Qingsong, and others rushed to greet Lu Changxing as soon as they heard he was coming. Lu Changxing asked about the general situation at White Tiger Mountain and had his son Lu Qingsong hand over the great formation to Ling Zixiao. Then he took Lu Pingan back to Bai Lake Mountain for foundation establishment. 2 months later, Lu Pingan successfully achieved foundation establishment, forming the Black Dragon Dao Foundation. During the ritual of foundation establishment, which stripped away his mortal shell, Lu Pingan's 100 refinements treasure body art broke through to the 7th layer. Immediately, Lu Changxing not only gained a dense surge of mana that advanced his cultivation level, but his 100 refinements treasure body art reached the peak of the 8th level. He was just 1 step away from breaking through the 3rd rank with his body refinement. He didn't even need Lu Pingan's 100 refinements treasure body art to break through to the 8th level. As long as Lu Wangshu, or he himself, worked hard for a few years, his 100 refinements treasure body art was likely to break through to the 9th layer. Father, Lu Pingan stepped out of the cabin, bowing respectfully to Lu Changxing. Having just achieved his breakthrough, he exuded an imposing aura, majestic and commanding. This was the effect of the Black Dragon Codex. The process of cultivation aimed at transforming into a true dragon had endowed him with a bit of dragon prestige. Lu Changxing, accustomed to seeing his son's gentle and tolerant demeanor, now found this new appearance slightly jarring. Good. Lu Changxing nodded and instructed Lu Pingan to continue consolidating his realm. Yes. Lu Pingan nodded and returned inside the cabin to consolidate his realm. Seeing his son enter the cabin, Lu Changxing was reminded of the time his wife, Lu Lanshu, was pregnant with this son. Though he had come to Jianghu Mountain as a son-in-law without much affection arranged by the Lu family, the moment he learned he was to be a father, he felt an uncontrollable, heartfelt joy. He still remembered how anxious and nervous he felt outside the delivery room when Lu Pingan was about to be born. Time flies, Lu Changxing remarked somewhat sentimentally. Over 40 years had passed, and he had transformed from a son-in-law in Jianghu Mountain to a revered elder. His eldest son under his guidance had also progressed from a mortal with no spiritual root to a foundation establishment cultivator. A month later, Lu Pingan emerged from seclusion. His Bodhis mana aura was restrained, and the fierce and imposing demeanor had vanished. His originally regular facial features now had sharper contours. Your mother has always hoped you would succeed in cultivation. Now that you have achieved foundation establishment, you should inform her. Lu Changxing looked at his son, pleased with his appearance. It had been quite some time since he visited Rui Prefecture. Thinking that his son had just achieved foundation establishment, he decided it was a good opportunity to visit Rui Prefecture. Right. Lu Pingan nodded upon hearing this. In earlier years, he often returned to visit his mother, brother, and sister. But having been stationed at White Tiger Mountain in recent years, he had not been to Rui Prefecture for some time. With that, Lu Changxing and Lu Pingan left by Lake Mountain, piloting the spirit boat toward Rui Prefecture. Lu Lanshu, Lu Qing'er, and Lu Zier had been residing at Bai Lake Mountain. But perhaps ultimately due to the separation between immortals and mortals, the women felt somewhat ill at ease and moved to Rui Prefecture under the pretext of staying close to their children in the secular world. Father and son piloted the spirit boat to Rui County City. Lu Changxing thought back to his previous visits when his wives and children gradually aged, as his appearance seemed even older than his children, prompting a sigh as he gently touched his face. Instantly, his youthful countenance aged, appearing around 50. But his eyes shimmered with the presence of an immortal, donned in a green magical robe, exuding an elegant and unworldly charm that made him stand out. Dad? Lu Pingan paused when he saw Lu Changxing's action, tempted to imitate. You don't need to. Lu Changxing glanced at his son and simply advised. Both soared through the sky toward the Lu residence. Previously, Lu Changxing had Ling Zixiao set up a simple formation around the Lu residence to ward off petty thieves. However, such formations naturally had no effect on him. Lanshu. Lu Changxing softly called out to a woman in her 40s or 50s with a fair complexion, dignified and commanding, dressed in a deep turquoise palace dress, holding a civet cat, in the backyard. Greetings, mother. Lu Pingan stepped forward and bowed. Seeing his significantly aged mother, he felt a heavy heart. He knew that as humans aged, the effectiveness of elixir medicines like preserving youth pills and other age-defying pills would gradually weaken. Husband? Pingan. Lu Lanshu showed a mix of surprise and joy upon seeing them. Not only surprised by Lu Chan. Chapter 1024, Lu Pingan's Breakthrough in Foundation Establishment, The Meaning of Cultivation. _4 Chapter 1024, Chapter 363, Lu Pingan's Breakthrough in Foundation Establishment, The Meaning of Cultivation. _4 Even though she had taken the preserving youth pills given by Lu Changxing, making her appear much younger than her actual age, there was still a pressure she felt in the presence of Lu Changxing. My return this time is to bring you some good news. Lu Changxing chuckled softly and spoke. Good news? Is it related to Pingan? Lu Lanshu immediately looked at her son and guessed aloud. As Lu Changxing's wife, who had managed the secular Lu family in her earlier years, she was no ignorant woman. Pingan. Lu Changxing prompted his son to speak for himself. Mother, I have recently broken through to the foundation establishment stage. Lu Pingan grinned at his mother as he spoke. From a young age, he knew that his mother had always hoped to give birth to a child with a spiritual root. She was overjoyed to the point of tears when she learned he possessed a spiritual root. Before he left for Jianghu Mountain, she constantly reminded him to listen to his father as well as Auntie Miaoga and Aunt Miao Yun, among others. Every time he returned home in his early years, his mother would inquire about his cultivation progress. Because in her heart, all things were inferior, only cultivation was supreme. Now that he had broken through to foundation establishment, he had fulfilled one of his mother's wishes. Foundation establishment stage? Foundation establishment, Pingan, are you referring to the foundation establishment ancestors level of foundation establishment? Upon hearing this, Lu Lanshu suddenly covered her mouth in astonishment, her face full of disbelief. Though she was immortal, she was very clear about this common cultivation knowledge. She was still getting updates about the cultivation world from the Rui Marquis mansion, and she understood what foundation establishment represented. That was why she found it so unbelievable now. After all, there were not many foundation establishment ancestors throughout Jianghu Mountain and by Lake Mountain. And now, her son, at the age of 43, had become an exalted foundation establishment ancestor. Yes. Lu Pingan grinned as he replied. My son has actually broken through to foundation establishment. I've heard foundation establishment allows one to fly through the sky. Pingan, show your mother. Lu Lanshu was extremely excited, and she lost her composure completely. Immediately, Lu Pingan levitated into the air with his mother, confirming this point, but Lu Lanshu still felt as if she were dreaming. Were it not for Lu Changsheng's instruction to keep the matter secret for now, Lu Lanshu would have wished to announce it to the entire family and tell everyone in the world that her son had broken through to foundation establishment. However, hearing that the matter concerned the family's future, she understood the gravity of the situation and promised not to reveal it. But Lu Changxing also stated that he would announce his son's breakthrough in a few years and hold a ceremony. After all, wealth and honor unacknowledged in one's hometown are like dressing in fine robes at night. He may not care for such things, but Lu Lanshu still wished to witness her son's foundation establishment celebration. After a brief explanation, Lu Lanshu notified the family that Lu Changxing and Lu Pingan had returned. Greetings, father. Big brother. Grandfather, uncle. Although many branches had split off from the secular Lu family, as the main line in Rui County City, there were still many Lu family disciples at home. These people came one after another to greet Lu Changxing. Some came out of concern and longing for Lu Changxing as a father, and for Lu Pingan as a big brother, but most of the children, having been sent away from the secular world at a young age, rarely met and looked at Lu Changxing with a mix of awe and unfamiliarity. Lu Changxing, seeing this, let out a deep sigh, his heart growing increasingly sentimental. This was also the reason he seldom visited Rui Prefecture. Even though he believed his nature had become more indifferent over time, faced with this situation, he still couldn't help but sigh. After all, the birth of these children all included his personal desires and purposiveness. Although he could grant these children wealth and glory, he could not fully let go in his heart. Not just Lu Changxing, but Lu Pingan, too, felt a heavy heart facing this situation. He deeply understood the meaning of the division between immortals and mortals. This was just between mortals and foundation establishment. If it were core formation, nascent soul, or the legendary divinity transformation, it would be akin to a chasm dividing heaven and earth. After all, a nascent soul immortal with a lifespan of 500 years could sit back and watch countless rises and falls. Father, without a spiritual root, is one unable to cultivate and embark upon the path to immortality? At night, after the family banquet, Lu Pingan looked at his father and spoke with a heavy heart. Today, many of his younger brothers and sisters sought him out to catch up, but as they talked, he gradually fell silent. Man is the master of his fate. It may not be possible now, but it might be in the future. Lu Changxing spoke softly, able to understand his son's feelings. Man is the master of his fate. Upon hearing this, Lu Pingan clenched his fists. He had broken through to Foundation establishment, but, apart from the case where his father had given him a spiritual root, he had never heard of such a thing happening. Many things might be beyond our ability now. But the meaning of cultivation lies in the fact that with enough strength, one can rectify regrets and achieve all that is wonderful. One day, if you become an immortal, perhaps with a flick of your fingers, you could enable mortals to cultivate or even revive those you cannot bear to lose from the river of time. Lu Changxing looked at the night sky as he spoke. People had to learn to console themselves. He was consoling himself in this way. One day, as long as he became an immortal, standing at the pinnacle of the immortal path, he could rectify all that was wonderful, leaving no regrets in life. And with the system at his side, he believed he could accomplish this. The meaning of cultivation, to rectify regrets in beauty. Lu Pingan, hearing these words, gazed at the starry night sky and murmured to himself. After a moment, he saw Lu Changxing leaving and, with a resolute clench of his fist, said, "Father, I understand." Chapter 1025, Dragon Roar Awakening, Becoming a Disciple of Hong Lian. Chapter 1025, Chapter 364, Dragon Roar Awakening, Becoming a Disciple of Hong Lian. By Yun Peak, Alchemy Hall. 9 dragon heads spewed raging flames, above which a bronze cauldron was set. Spiritual liquid boiled inside the cauldron as Lu Changxing threw in various precious and valuable spiritual medicines, spirit fruits, monster cores, demon beast skeletons, and more. He was preparing a medicinal bath for his son Lu Lingxiao and daughter Lu Lingyi. Ever since learning about the medicinal bath technique, he had wanted to give some of his talented children a medicinal baptism. However, previous baths, aside from those for Lu Wangshu and Lu Xingqian, were ordinary baptisms. The spiritual medicines and spirit stones used before didn't even compare to what he was using now. On the one hand, indeed, these 2 children had exceptional talents, and he wanted to give them a head start. On the other hand, this was also about the relationship with Ling Zixiao. After all, children with good talents, and those who were children of his Dao companion, would spend more time with him, so he was inevitably biased. As time passed, the spiritual liquid in the cauldron turned into a dark, thick, and turbid color. Then, Lu Changxing opened several porcelain bottles and poured them one by one into the cauldron. Buzz! At that moment, the ancient beast taming charm shimmered, and a faint figure appeared, looking sublimely beautiful, slender, noble, and uniquely graceful. She cast spell after spell towards the bronze cauldron. Buzz buzz buzz, the cauldron immediately began to hum and tremble. The liquid inside roared and splashed, gleaming with a radiant light, making the phantom images of the 9 Netherhound, Heavenly Demon Phoenix, Iron-Eating Beast, and Mount Sumer Tree King appear intermittently. The originally dark and viscous liquid gradually turned light gold, emitting a strong, aromatic scent. "Young master, the elixirs are ready, you can enter the cauldron now." Hong Lian's voice was soft and pleasing. Lu Changxing nodded, looked towards his side, and called out to his son, who was pursing his lips with bright eyes, "Shower." "Dad, I'm ready." Lu Lingxiao nodded as he spoke. He was only 9 years old but looked as tall as a normal adolescent. Dressed in a cyan robe, his youthful face carried a hint of valor. Hearing Lu Changxing's words, he directly leaped into the boiling bronze cauldron. He knew that once he completed the medicinal bath baptism, he could begin cultivating. Hiss! As Lu Lingxiao entered the cauldron, his body instantly became scalding hot, and his skin turned red. He groaned softly. Although the medicinal bath was extremely hot, it would not scald anyone. Instead, it transformed into a surging force of medicinal power, cleaning and strengthening his body, limbs, bones, and dantian. "Daddy, will brother get boiled?" Lu Lingyi, wearing a lotus dress and tying 2 buns, biting her fingers, looked at the bubbling bronze cauldron and spoke with fear. "Of course not, it's just like taking a bath. Xiaohe will grow up quickly after the bath. And the liquid inside tastes really good." Lu Changxing laughed as he heard his daughter's words. As children, the siblings grew up consuming various heavenly and earthly treasures, treating strengthening and essence cultivating elixirs like candy. These elixirs and treasures might not be fully absorbed and used. This medicinal bath baptism not only helped them refine all the medicine power within their bodies but also improved their talents. Once the medicinal bath was over, both could begin cultivating directly. There was no need, like most children, to wait until 12 years old for their meridians and dantian to withstand nature's spiritual energy. Xiaohe, it's okay. Ling Zixiao, who had been holding her daughter's shoulders, spoke softly. She fully understood how much Lu Changxing had spent on this cauldron bath. Not just nearly 100,000 spirit stones worth of heaven and earth spiritual materials. He also extracted essence blood from the 9 netherhound, heavenly demon phoenix, cold blue dark turtle, iron-eating beast, Mount Sumer tree king, and abyssal ghoul blossoms. Brother, are you getting cooked? Lu Lingyi expressed disbelief and shouted loudly to her brother inside the cauldron. No, Lu Lingxiao remained silent for a moment before gritting his teeth and uttering 2 words. Daddy, Mommy, brother seems getting cooked. Lu Lingyi immediately looked up and said. Seeing her daughters dilly-dallying, and Hong Lian waiting by the side, Ling Zixiao directly clenched her teeth, picked her up, and with a plop, threw her into the cauldron. Ah, Daddy, Mommy, it's so hot. Unlike Lu Lingxiao, who held his breath and endured, Lu Lingyi immediately cried out in discomfort. Xiaohe, be good, after the bath, you will grow up quickly. Lu Changxing immediately soothed her. Buzz. Hong Lian cast more spells into the bronze cauldron, causing the medicinal liquid to boil continuously and radiate luminous light. Young master, it's ready now. She spoke and then her figure returned to the ancient beast taming charm. Without Su Ruyan, she could not stay away from the ancient beast taming charm for long, and casting these spells drained her significantly. Hong Lian, thank you for your hard work. Lu Changxing nodded as he spoke, holding the ancient beast taming charm in his palm. Daddy lied, the liquid doesn't taste good at all, it's so bitter. After a while, Lu Ling's face turned red, as if she was drunk, and she said in grievance to Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing stayed silent for a moment, then a bottle appeared in his hand, and he poured out to strengthen the essence and cultivate the origin pills, shouting to his daughter in the cauldron, Xiaohe, open your mouth. Baiu. After Lu Lingyi consumed the pills, she immediately shouted loudly, Daddy, I want to eat more. Seeing her husband feeding their daughter treats, Ling Zixiao wanted to say something, but was at a loss for words, only able to sigh with a hand on her forehead. And so, time passed bit by bit, the medicinal bath roared and boiled, luminescence surged, washing marrow and cleansing for the siblings, allowing them to undergo a transformative rebirth. Lu Lingxiao clenched his teeth and endured the medicinal bath baptism. Previously, Lu Wangshu told him, the reason she was so impressive was that, during her medicinal bath baptism, she stayed fully conscious and completed the transformative rebirth.